Welcome and happy holidays. We're back for a special Wednesday night edition, holiday edition, episode number 45 of Chatting with Nuts. It's always a pleasure to do this show for all of you, and also always a pleasure to be accompanied by my semi-permanent co-host, that is Alan Wheels McCrash.
That's right, Alan Wheels McCrash. Jimmy, we just need to break into the podcast sphere, bud.
I think we have.
Yeah, but we need to make a podcast where you and I just talk about we pick something, we talk about it for an hour.
What would you call it?
I don't know. We call it getting hit by cars. I don't know. We call it whatever we want.
You could do jobbers. What is it? Nutting with Alan? That was one that was suggested.
Not call it that, Jimmy.
You don't like that one?
No, I hate that. In fact, we're not going to call it that. We're not going to be gross.
Well, I mean, it just depends on where your mind's at. But I respect the decision. So how are you feeling, man? You did a live kind of saying hello.
But I was not feeling well. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. It was one of the most heart-wrenching things I've watched in a long time.
It's I haven't felt that. I'm not usually a despondent person. I'm usually righteously indignant. But yeah, I was despondent. Just not being able to do anything is frustrating. And then, I had broken my camera, which was really the thing. But like I just told you, when cooler heads prevailed, Christina was like, I think I still hear it autofocusing. So I think it still works. I just don't think we can use the view screen. And so, the next day I'm like, okay, can you please just come in there and help me? Because we had to move the desk. We had to fit the stand behind there. It was just a bunch of stuff that I couldn't do on my own. And so we did it. And then we tested it. And I just can't frame up a shot with the view screen because it doesn't work. It's broken. I need to send it off to get fixed. But the camera does work. And the whole point of this new office was so that I could film where I live, just like you do. Yeah. And so that was just a load off my back that I can still use it. It's set up. I don't ever have to touch it. I don't ever have to mess with it. It stays back there. The only thing I have to do is reach over and turn it on. And when I have actual light, the lighting's better. And, I have bookshelves in the background. And so it's I am happy with what the shot looks like. So
yeah, it looks good. Kyle asked if it's even an actual bookcase. So it must look, almost like a backdrop. It is real.
Let it focus.
All right. Oh, God, those do look good.
Yeah, this is a real bookshelf.
Part of me wishes I wouldn't have went with black bookshelves. I'll be honest. Part of me wishes I would have won wood or white.
This is nothing but MMPBs by Terry Pratchett, my old Harper Prism mass market paperbacks from when I was in high school.
They look so uniform. They look good.
Yeah, I love those old. The Discworld paperbacks now are trash, but the old ones before, they were that long, skinny ones. And yeah, so I did not have a choice in what my bookshelves look like. Christina is in charge of furniture appearance. I am in charge of utility. I am in charge of function. She's in charge of form. So we always have to split the difference with what is the most efficient, least ugly piece of furniture we can acquire, because the most efficient is often it's too far on the ugly plane, or the prettiest thing is too far away from the form plane, and so, or from the function plane. So together we find the most pretty and most functional where those intersect.
Yeah, I'm definitely a utility first person. If for instance, this office, I tried my damnedest to make sure that it still looked presentable when people came over. But now this is in the middle of the room. This all looks nice. Everything on that side, terrible. And there's cords everywhere. So we just shut the door. We don't still let people see in here.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It really is. Lady Patience wants to know how your pain management is, by the way.
So my pain has always been fine. I don't have any pain unless I overexert, like I did my despondent night, or I lay down. For some reason, laying down makes my leg throb. So I've been sleeping in my recliner. We got some lady was selling her recliner for cheap because she had just gotten it when she had a baby to rock the baby back and forth. And so we got a really good deal on $1,000 recliner. We only paid $200 for it. And it's really, really comfortable. And so I've been sleeping in that since I got back, because all I wanted for Christina, I was like, all I want is a recliner. This is before my accident, because our couches are not very comfortable and I don't like reading on them. And I'm like I used to have a recliner and I read in my recliner. Like I really just want my recliner. And so we got a recliner while I was in the hospital. So I've been sleeping in that. So I don't really have a lot of pain unless like I swivel the wrong way. My problem is, and I thought I was going to get farther in here before I complain about this, the healthcare system in Florida, like I am not sick often, and I do not visit the doctor often, and I do not need a bunch of procedures often. So I always witch and moan about the education system because it's bad and needs to be fixed. I've never seen anything like this. Like I have never seen anything like this. And you've lived it when you had to see a bunch of doctors. Were you where you are?
No. So whenever I had my knee surgery, I was back in Dub V.
Yeah. Okay.
Which surprisingly, where I was at didn't have terrible medical.
So the problem here is the rehab place that I was at was wonderful. Like they were so nice, and the nurses there and the techs were wonderful. But the further up the chain you go, the more useless anyone gets. And I don't know why people go into healthcare. Like I don't. Like why do you become a doctor or a nurse practitioner? Is it for the money? Like because you're awful at this. You're bad at this job. You realize, one, when you tell me you don't know, okay, who does? Because guess what? I also don't know, but I didn't go to medical school. So
to any doctors or nurse practitioners listening, I love you and appreciate you.
No, I love healthcare workers. I'm talking about the ones that I have run into.
Okay.
Second, why are you in this if you're not going to talk to me and answer my questions? And again, I mean this only with the ones that I encountered. One of the nurse practitioners at this place, his name was Glenn. Wonderful. Glenn was awesome.
We like Glenn.
Glenn, he would sit there, ask what I needed. Any question I had, he would sit there and wait until I was done. Then there was another nurse practitioner who is literally the worst healthcare provider I have ever encountered in my entire life. And I've seen so many terrible mental health counselors that this person's worse than all of them put together. Like I got an x-ray in the middle of the night or middle of the evening. I'm laying in my bed. Someone comes in someone comes in pushing an x-ray machine. And they're like, oh, hey, I got to get your x-ray. And I said, what? Why? And they're like, I don't know. They just ordered an x-ray. I said, for what? She's like, I don't know. Like, and so she tries to roll me over on my side. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I have broken ribs. That will hurt a lot. I'm not going to roll. She's like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, why are you here if you do not know what is wrong with me? And this is the problem, is no part of the body knows what the other part of the body is doing. And I'm going to come back to this in a minute. So it wasn't until the next day that I had to ask. What my nurse came in, it was the night nurse of the following day, and she was wonderful because she stopped what she was doing and she looked up my chart and she looked up everything that I was asking about because they had changed my meds and didn't tell me. I'm like, hey, well, where's my this that I was getting? And they're like, oh, they discontinued that. I'm like, what do you mean they discontinued that? It's freaking Colace. Like I need that. Like I don't want to get constipated here. So anyway, so she's like, oh, it says this nurse practitioner, this is the one I'm talking about. She ordered an x-ray because the patient was complaining of an acute cough. I'm like, I haven't coughed one time in here because my ribs hurt. So no, I wasn't complaining of an acute cough. Woman ordered me an x-ray, didn't tell me she ordered me an x-ray, made up the reason that she ordered the x-ray. And then, so I had not been taking any painkillers, though I should have. I should have gotten addicted to opioids rather than torch my liver. So I only took Tylenol.
Right.
But I took too much and not enough water. And so my liver enzymes got raised. And it's a result of that because a month ago, I had my labs drawn and they were fantastic, like my yearly labs. So anyway, so my liver enzymes are up. I can't take Tylenol, whatever. So now I'm kind of throbbing. It sucks, whatever. This woman she ordered, because the nurse also tells me oh yeah, she also ordered a GI ultrasound, a liver ultrasound, your GI tract ultrasound for you. And I'm like, oh, when? She's like, oh, I don't know when. She just ordered it. and didn't tell me. And then tells me she ordered it for, I can't eat or drink, right? They tell me I can't eat or drink the night before. Freaking ultrasound person doesn't come in until 11:05. They're like, oh, it'll be there before 11:05. So I haven't had anything to drink. Like, I schedule my labs at 6:30 a.m. so that I can eat and drink afterwards. So
so most people do. Yeah.
Because I have caffeine. I felt the worst the day they wouldn't let me have coffee until the stupid GI thing than I did the whole time I was there. And so I finally got it. Woman comes in the day before I leave. This is the second time I've seen that nurse practitioner. She rolls in. She's like, oh, hey, so look at your ultrasound. Your liver's got some fatty deposits on it. And looks like your spleen might be a little bit enlarged. And there might be some scarring on it, which means there might be something wrong for a while now. But, we also could have over-imaged it. But I'm not too concerned about it. All right, bye. And then leaves. Comes in like a bloody hurricane. Like useless. And so what does that leave me to do? What does fatty deposits in the liver mean? According to Dr. Google, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is basically cirrhosis of the liver, as if you drank a bottle of vodka a day without drinking, which I don't do. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So my bones are going to heal, and now I'm going to die from a liver failure. But no. She didn't have time to talk to me about any of that. It was the next day that Glenn came in.
Good old Glenn.
Talked to me about everything. And he's like, look, your enzymes are not like through the roof. Like, if anything, like if it is that, like that's something that can be reversed with diet and exercise. Like it's probably fine. We're going to set you up with the GI. And I'm just like,
where was this?
So the rest of my complaint is, since I've been sent home, all right, they set me up with home health care because people who leave this rehab place are generally old, right? I'm not 40. And so I have had, in the last 3 days, I have had 4 appointments. The first one was the lady in charge of home health coming over and doing an intake on me, right? So she asked me they asked me the same questions. What's your pain like? What do you need help with? Like, what can you do? What can't you do? Like, oh, you were in a car accident, right? Like, whatever. They asked me the same questions over and over. Fine. The next day, I have to go to orthopedic radiology because they're going to give me an X-ray, right? And this is the most ludicrous thing. And this is where I was like, oh, I guess people in healthcare just hate patients. Like, that's fine. Like, these people are so rude at this place. So, and I am not rude in public, no matter whatever Leanna stream watchers may think. I'm not rude to people I don't know. Like, I'm just not. Like, I am one of the, ask Christina, who will not lie. I'm one of the most polite people, like, ever in, like, to people I don't know, like to people who work and who, like, it's not their fault that I'm here and uncomfortable. But she wheels me back to get x-rays taken. I got to stand up on my one foot and get x-rays taken. So while it's being done, I'm like, so they're just taking like x-rays of my ribs and my pelvis. She said, we don't do ribs.
The rib x-rayer was down.
So what this literally means, Jimmy, what this literally means, I am standing at an x-ray machine getting my pelvis x-ray at an orthopedic place. So bones with an x-ray machine. If I had needed my ribs x-rayed, I would literally have had to make a different appointment at a different place with a different doctor to have my freaking ribs looked at. When there's an x-ray machine here at the bone place. My physical therapist, who was wonderful at the rehab place, she was like, yeah, I got in trouble. Like, they made me stop doing like arm stuff with the patients because they say, like, because insurance, arms is occupational therapy. Legs and lower body is physical therapy. That's the stupidest thing ever. So,
yeah, I would say that's pretty dumb.
So anyway, after that, I get home and freaking physical therapy, home health comes to my house, and it's a nurse. She sits down on my couch with a tablet, does the exact same thing that her boss, who was setting up the whole thing, did. Asks me the exact same questions, and I'm like, The lady who you work for was here. You have a tablet. Do y'all not communicate with each other? Ask like, oh, so what happened? Like I'm like, what do you mean what happened? I told the last lady. Like, and so then today we had an 8:00 appointment for Christina. And it took 8 to 11. It was the most nightmarish thing ever. Like anyway, I got home and the lady from home health is there today. This time it's a nurse. I don't need a nurse. I'm not on any meds. I don't need a nurse. Anyway, she comes in, sits down on my couch, asks me the same questions. That same flipping tablet works for the same people.
Yeah. So like, where's the paperwork going? You know what I mean? Like, do you have 3 different files?
The thing is, my mother and stepdad are from Texas. In Texas, there's a lot of things wrong with Texas, but in Texas, you're with like a medical like care like network, meaning anybody, any provider that is on that big digital network can access every record you've ever had.
Yep.
And like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because anyway, so it has just been appointment after like wasted appointment. And they had the rehab place had made me a follow-up with my GP, which is 35 minutes from where I live, like at least. And I would have had to drive past the intersection I got hit. So we called today and I said, Christina, I need to find out what this appointment's for, because I don't need any help with anything. I feel fine. I don't need meds. And she called and the doctor was like, I don't know why they made you this appointment here, because we can't even handle pain stuff anyway. That's not what we do. And my wife's like, can I cancel this appointment? She's like, I already did. I'm like, thank you. So I didn't have to interrupt my day. And then while I'm eating dinner, the home healthcare people call me again. Only this time it's a social worker. And this woman at least was on top of it. She's like, so we like this is offered to everybody for like as part of the home health care. And I'm like, and she says it just like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm 40. She's like, yeah, I didn't think you needed a social worker. And I'm like, I do not. She's like, okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. Bye. So I do not have another wasted appointment. It's just, I mean, it's just, this is stupid. This is stupid.
It sounds like a mess. I do want to shout out Fit to Be Read for the $2 super sticker. My friend, thank you so much. Happy holidays to you, Mike. Make sure to go over there.
I've missed every single comment that was made while I was telling the story.
Well, I got to tell you, we have 160 people in here live on a Wednesday night, and this chat is flying by. So if I miss stuff, guys, you know, it is what it is, and I apologize. Alan, so this is something that really solidified something in my brain, but everything you're going through, all these appointments, the extra stress, and then the pain, how thankful are you that you have someone with you to help you? Because could you imagine if you were alone?
I mean, at that point, like you would have a home healthcare person.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot, even handling phone calls though.
It's already really hard when, because we have a friend staying with us too, for about a month. He's going to get an apartment in January. So, but when they're both asleep or he's at work or Christina's asleep, like I feel so like I have a sunroom. That the reason I got this house, the reason I signed off on this house is my sunroom, because I love doing workouts like outside.
Beautiful sunroom.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, but there's a step down. In order to step down, I have to use my walker.
Cruel joke.
The step down is not a problem. I just get my walker. But the problem is once I'm down there, if I've got my walker, I can't do anything. I need my chair, my wheelchair. So yesterday, I'm not certain it was safe, but I, with my walker, kind of like pushed my wheelchair to where it was near the door. And so like I did my step down with my walker, and I was able to, while balancing, reach and pull the wheelchair. No. What I did is I pushed the wheelchair down the step first and then stepped down with my walker, because the thing is I also can't carry anything in my walker. I just ordered like a bag to attach to it because it's ridiculous. Can't carry anything. So it's just hard. Like there's so many things I can't do. Like today, Christina went out for groceries and we had forgotten to take my wheelchair out of the car when we got back from the appointments today. So all I had was my walker, which was fine when she left because I was sitting in my recliner. but I got up because I wanted to come in here and do some editing work, or I wanted to like set up a bookshelf or whatever. But I didn't have my wheelchair. Like I couldn't do anything. I wanted a drink, but I couldn't get one because we were out of soda cans. Like soda cans are fine. I can shove them in my pocket.
You just walking around.
I have to because I'm on my walker. I can't hold anything. So like I got up, walked around on my walker for like 10 minutes, couldn't find my wheelchair, and texted Christina, and she's like, yeah, it's still in the car. And I'm like, guess I'm sitting back in the recliner. I couldn't do anything. So but Christina is an absolute godsend. She's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, she is wonderful. We do want some updates here because obviously you popped in with the episode with Joanna. This is the third Chatting with Nuts within 2 weeks, by the way, folks. So to all you who watch all of them, thank you. It's very, very generous of you to give me so much of your time. I wanted to get this in though, because Alan wanted to come on. We need to lift his spirits up a bit. And I wanted to catch up with my friend before, all the busy holiday times. And I was kind of hoping maybe for people who are traveling like me, maybe this will give you something to listen to. But Alan, you jumped into the Joanna episode and we had this big debacle around your shoes, and those shoes were very important to you. Were they ever, I know you found one, right?
Yeah.
Did you find the other?
The shoes were never recovered. However,
rip.
However, a wonderful friend and patron of mine, Tiago Abdallah, messaged me and it's like, hey, so I'm pretty good at finding stuff that people can't find. Can you tell me like the exact model of those shoes? And I'm like, Tiago, like you can't find them. Like I have also searched online. So I sent him literally the eBay entry of the last ones I purchased. Dude comes back to me the same day, like, hey, so this is in Spanish, but they're selling it. Like literally the same seller was selling it on like Spanish eBay, the same shoes. So I'm like, holy crap, Tiago. Boop, click, ordered them. We'll be here Saturday. Same pair of shoes.
Let's go. So you got a replacement pair. Tiago comes through.
Oh, Tiago came through. He is the fixer. I renamed him the fixer.
It's Tiago, right? It's Tiago. I always say
that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. Because it's Portuguese.
Well, see, here's the thing. So there have been many Tiagos in the UFC, but the announcers have been pronouncing wrong for about 20 years. So sure. Thiago Santos, pick any of the Tiagos as they call them, but Tiago. What a great guy. What a go. Everybody, round of applause.
Jennifer,
Thiago.
Back when Jennifer asked about drinking. Jennifer, back when I drank, like I don't really drink anymore.
Wait, alcohol? You used to drink alcohol?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Tell me some stories.
I used to drink. I just don't drink anymore. I mean, I do. Like I'll have like a beer when I have wings, and I really like Wallaby Darns at Outback. I love fruity drinks, like a daiquiri. I will.
Oh, dude, listen, we're not allowed to say this because we're men or whatever. But like, let's be honest, they're the best.
Do not care if it is hot. I will drink a strawberry daiquiri faux show.
Give me that pina colada.
Yeah, right? But I'm talking about like drinking at like parties and stuff, like with my friends and stuff. I don't really do that all that much. Like I don't really do it at all anymore. But I was a very, very nice like drinker. Like when I know it seems like I could be angry. No. I was really, really friendly.
I could see you being friendly. I think for you get really nervous. You have high anxiety. When I met you, I think the first thing you said were like, I'm just so nervous.
Well, I warned you in advance. I'm like, hey, so people don't actually like me in person. They like me better online because I just really bad anxiety.
I like literally see Alan walk into the hotel and he has a KJ Parker novella in his hand, like physical copy of a book.
I don't go anywhere without a book or crossword puzzle.
And I was like that threw me off. And you were like, so you guys are freaking real.
For sure. I've become Stanley from The Office in my real life. Like I'm always doing a crossword puzzle.
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a gimmick. I thought you did it just to kind of wow me.
I don't. I
didn't read a single page when you were there.
But what if everyone had gone to the bathroom and had been gone for like 15 minutes and I'd have been sitting there staring at my hand? No, like I'm gonna read. Yeah, but you're right. But if I'm gonna burn time, I'd rather read.
I mean, I'm not gonna knock it. I usually, so what happens to me is if I'm in a place like, for instance, I'm going home for the holidays and I'm gonna take a physical book with me. But like if I finish that, I'll probably read it on my phone most likely, which does destroy my eyeballs. So now that we know that your shoes are gone, but have been replaced with a fresher, younger pair, the other question that everyone keeps asking is, do you still have the grabber? Is the grabber still canon?
You mean the graboid?
The graboid. Sorry. This is all new to me. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like this is something that you're going to get used to and you're never going to stop using it. It's never going to focus. There it is. Look at that thing. It's creepy. It looks so alien. Oh my God.
This one I can turn to get a different angle. Look, you see that? Grabs horizontally. Oh, wait. No need to turn your wrist. Just do this. Boom. Grabbing vertically.
That rhymed.
Wow. Pinky, pinky, pinky.
Yeah, that looks very crab-like, I guess is how I would describe it.
I have two of them. I can now dual wield them. I'm now Tao from Rage of Dragons.
The original dual wielder.
Dude, you know it.
What is your beef with Rage of Dragons?
I do need the Google eyes. So
because you hate it, like you hate.
No, I don't. I thought it was mid at best. The problem is, so when Rage of Dragons came out, both like Daniel Green and Murphy Napier were like really, really hyping Rage of Dragons. Like I'm talking about like, oh my gosh, amazing. Both gave 5 stars. Just this really like huge reactions, which is fine. Like you're allowed to do that. And so it had enormous buzz on YouTube and Goodreads. Like it had, 5-star ratings, like out the yin yang. And so being in the Shelf Space Discord, we used to, read a book every month together as it was a big reading club before everyone broke off and, every single person has a Discord. But prior to that, so there were a bunch of us, like a bunch of us read Rage of Dragons, and it nearly destroyed the server because we were split down the middle. Those of us who were like, what is this trash? And those people who were wrong, who really liked it. And so we called it Shelf Space Civil War, like Team Cap and Team Iron Man, like fighting over whether it was a good book or not. And so the thing surrounding it was, how is a book that had been this hyped by literally everyone so divisive? And so this is where
it wasn't hyped by everyone. It was hyped by people early.
Yes, but then, that spreads like a plague. And so and so this began my theory of this began, the TED Talks that I give all the time about we are affected by our environment. We are affected by the people in it. Like people say, there are people who go on and be like, oh, I'm completely objective, nothing influence. You're a liar. You're a liar. So many things influence your enjoyment of a book. How you're feeling right now. I don't think Time of Courage, the last book of
Blood and Bone.
Thank you. I don't think it's bad, but I didn't enjoy it because I didn't want to be reading it when I read it. I didn't.
Well, you're on the same side as Leanna, so how do you feel about that? I
mean, Leanna and I agree on some things. The problem is she's just, I don't know. I really like Leanna. I literally thought you were referring to her. I didn't realize she was here.
She's here.
I didn't know Leanna went to other people's lives.
Such a backhand.
Was that an insult?
It was a little smug, honestly. It was a little smug.
Look, I was projecting. And so I think that a lot of people, a lot of that early buzz was because the two really big booktubers really liked it. And we want to belong to a community as people, right? We do. So I think that colored a lot of the early adopters' opinions. I'm not saying they didn't enjoy it. I'm not saying that every one of those people did.
I love the book personally.
That's fine. My problem with Rage of Dragons, my real problem is that the training montage stuff doesn't make any sense. He undermines his own world anyway, he just undermines it. And then no one can give me a satisfactory answer on why it doesn't undermine it. It's the same thing with Memories of Ice, the terrible decision made by one character in there. And everyone gives me no, that's a stupid reason.
Yeah, I got told I didn't understand it.
People who read pretentious books are sometimes pretentious.
Well,
But
so on the flip side of this, and well, I have two things to say. So, one, I read Rage of Dragons when I was first kind of getting back in heavy into reading, really early on in the channel, and I did love it, and it plays to a lot of the things that I like in like an entertaining book. I don't necessarily think that is like the deepest book of all time, or one that I would maybe reread a bunch. Like, so I kind of get that, but don't you feel like, as someone who likes to be a hipster and, kind of buck back against what's popular, do you feel that like that early praise then also affects your enjoyment of the book?
so this was when I was first on BookTube. And like we've mentioned this before, either separately or together, where didn't you give Game of Thrones like 4 stars when you started BookTube? Because you're trying to be like
No, listen,
official.
listen, no, not official. The thing is that I was rating it against A Storm of Swords was the problem.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was
I
rating it within the series, and I said, well, Game of Thrones, it's one of those things. Like, I would literally rather read every A Song of Ice and Fire book than any other book in existence. So they're all obviously 5 stars. But when I started my channel, I was like, well, I can't like give Game of Thrones, because I'm going to give Clash of Kings, 4.5, and then, Storm of Swords 5. So I made a mistake. And that is one of the reasons why I have kind of like shied away from scoring things, because like I'm so inconsistent. And it shouldn't bother me, but it does when I do. So I try to balance.
Yeah, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, like, we don't really know what we're doing when we're starting out. And when I started BookTube, it had been a long time since I had read any fantasy that wasn't Malazan. Like, like I read a bunch when I was younger, and then I switched to like nonfiction, and then I like read mysteries and thrillers for a long time in college, and then I picked up Malazan, and then I read Name of the Wind. And my wife recommending Name of the Wind after we had the hurricane here really got me back into fantasy. So I just started. So I didn't really know what was popular, and I hadn't really been inundated by the hype of anything yet. Like, I wanted to be part of the community, so I wanted to read all the popular stuff too. It was only after I found my identity. I found stuff that I thought was interesting. That I found my niche. That then now the hype train bothers me. It didn't for Rage of Dragons. I was more confused because my expectations for the book were different because of all the hype I had heard.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I mean, I can tell you, even from like with what I read, things have changed a lot since I've moved on. And honestly, I enjoy stuff that I never really thought I would. Like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I loved Stoner by John Williams, I'd have been like, you're out of your flipping mind. Like, there's literally not a chance I would like this stupid book.
Yeah.
But that's how it is, right? Like, there's like a lineage to your favorites. So I totally understand what you're saying. Leanna says that Name of the Wind was the origin of your beef. You have beef?
Yeah, I mean, about Name of the Wind, because I think Denna is an awful character. Yeah. And Leanna's a Denna apologist. This is the first thing we fought about, I think, though. I think this is the first thing we argued about.
Everyone is saying I'm a Germ hater now, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Look, I didn't give Game of Thrones 4 stars. I gave it 5. So,
did you really?
On Goodreads, yeah.
I mean, you gave The Wolf 5 stars, and then last night for 2.5 hours just for Leo Carew.
Yeah. Because the thing is, what I had to learn on BookTube, for me, I can give something 5 stars and still have a problem. Like, still think some of the things it does are dumb. Like, for me, my stars they don't all mean the same thing, and that's fine. But the thing is, so and Jimmy, you got to keep giving stuff stars, because if you don't, you're gonna be like Philip and Joanna, and nobody like don't switch over to their pretentious side. Like, stay over here with the regular humans. To where, like, I understand that it's inconsistent, but it's consistent within me. Like, all my stars don't mean anything. There are stars that like mean a lot because it's like, dang, like this book changed my life. Then there's 5 stars like, man, I had a blast reading this freaking book.
Yeah.
And 5 stars like, you know what? I don't particularly think I enjoyed this book, but I think it's really well written. Like, I think it's just me. Like, it's not the book, it's me. But this is 5 stars if I, wasn't the way that I am. So, if I really like enjoy it, I can still be like, I still think this thing is dumb, like the thing. Okay, so like, I was writing my top 10. I was writing while we were eating before this, I was writing down like all my top 10s that I'm going to do, like top 10 standalones, top 10 favorite series, top 10 books of this year, top 10 favorite authors, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I wrote top 10 favorite authors. I got like 6 of them down. And I'm like, who am I missing? And then I look at my spreadsheet of like authors I've read. And I went, oh, and Christina's like, what? I'm like, I forgot to put KJ Parker. I forgot I read KJ Parker. I just completely forgot, obviously. Anyway, but like, I like KJ Parker a lot, but like, he talks about some boring crap. Like, and at this point, like, I think I've become like, I'm Stockholm syndrome to him. Like every time I get a page of like boring logistics where he literally for an entire page and a half tells me how to cut an arrowhead out of a piece of wood.
That's just KJ like, being KJ.
I know. I'm just like, yes, give me some logistic information that I would never read in a textbook, but just make this random dude with no name do it, and I want to read it. So I mean, I know that's dumb. Like, but I tell people like, you just don't want to be disingenuous. I'll be like, hey, so there's a lot of boring crap in this. Like, either that's going to be your thing, or it's not going to be your thing. Hey, this book is written in the letter format. Either that's your thing or it's not going to be your thing. Hey, this book is fiction. That's going to be your thing or not. So like, well, it wasn't very realistic. And like AP has talked about in videos, like you got to be consistent, in universe consistent. Like, oh, yeah, that couldn't happen, but then dragons, like, oh well, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it is more important to be consistent in whatever you're writing, right? Like that, and I think those things stick out a little bit more. With the hype, we're talking about hype, and some people, I even saw some people in the chat, they were mentioning how hype has affected some of their stuff. The only thing that I push back on is that I would rather there be hype about anything than nothing, because that's the fun of it. Like if you get a really, cool experience from a book, and then you flip on your camera, you get on your booktube channel and you just start screaming into the camera, whether or not I like that book or not, I want you to keep doing, like, not just you, but I mean anybody out there. Like I want you to do that, because like, then we become all measured.
No. Oh yeah.
And I don't want everything to be measured.
Having I am not lobbying for no excitement about books, but the problem is faceless hype. Goodreads is the worst place for hype. Like faceless hype, like hype from the hoi polloi. Like the hoi polloi would get excited to eat dirt if you told them that Kim Kardashian came out with dirt, like some kind of dirt meal plan. I dirt meal. And look at me now.
Paleo 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. And now the people are like, oh no. Like that is useless noise to me.
Just taking charcoal and just grinding it across their teeth.
Yes, and like the Yas Queeners, like the people that immediately, like, I love KJ Parker, as you know. I love Josiah Bancroft and Sebastian de Castell. When I find out they're coming out with a book, I don't go on Goodreads and give it 5 stars before I've read it. That's stupid. Like, I hate that. Like, I don't like it at all. Now, when people I know and believe come out with, like, read something, and because the thing is, you have to look at people's holistic behavior. Do people act like they are currying? Like, are people trying to, do people feel disingenuous? And this is just a big thing for me, because again, autism, if people feel disingenuous, if I feel like they are doing, if I feel like not just one thing, a totality of their actions and the way they talk about things, from anything from thumbnails to the way they interact with the community, who do they interact with the community? If people only interact with people who have more subs than them and don't interact down, that's suspicious to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or if you get so big that you stop interacting with the people, like Philip,
like Philip, like when you hit 20K and then you don't talk to anybody, people who were friends with you before you hit 20K. Exactly. So you look at the totality of people's actions, and if it feels like if I do not trust you, I will, like, so how do I know that you're not saying this because this is the safest, most popular opinion that will lead to more views, more subs, etc. Or contrast, if you hate this, do you really not like this, or do you not like this because it's popular and you know that not liking it will bring people to your channel? Now, that's different than not liking popular things. Like, there are popular things that I don't like. There's popular things that you don't like. Like, that you cannot like things that are popular for actual reasons. It's just your character needs to show through that that's not what you're doing, or else your hype is meaningless to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there is times where people can conflate disagreements with someone being insincere, right? Like I really dislike the idea that someone, Petrick gives Lions of Alderson 1 star, which I think is crazy.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did not like it. And I didn't agree with his review, but me and Petrick are friends. But I've seen people say, I can't trust Petrick anymore. And I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like
he gave Fall of Babel, the last book in the Books of Babel series, 1 star. And that's damaging, because I've heard a whole bunch of people be like, oh, well, Petrick didn't like the last book, so I'm not going to pick up that series now. That upsets me, because and that's not Petrick's fault. That's not Petrick's fault.
No, not at all. Because I've had people do that with me. They're like, oh, you only give it 3, so like I'm not going to check it out. And I'm like, oh no, like you should, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. I mean, but like that doesn't mean I don't trust Petrick's review. I don't agree with him on Fall of Babel. I think he's the most wrong that a person could be. Like, as further proof, Kyle is in his corner. Kyle and Petrick both gave it 1 star. So,
and that does seem like a divisive book, right? That one
it is very divisive. My issue is when people gave all 3 books 5 stars, go like up to that point, and then give it 1 star. Bancroft isn't a worse writer. His prose is the same. It's still beautiful. People just didn't like what happened in it.
Yeah.
Or the structure of it. And I'm like, that doesn't make it a 1 star book. But again, I don't get to be the boss of everyone. But it doesn't mean I don't trust like those people's opinions. Like, I don't think Petrick is disingenuous. I think Petrick is one of the most genuine people I know. I think he genuinely likes many things that he reads,
and has done a ton for like the online fantasy community.
Oh,
beyond
100%.
beyond YouTube.
Actually. He's got the best Goodreads reviews out there.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. Like, you have to look at someone's character and the way they act. Now, another thing, because I'm always like playing devil's advocate here, is people can also change over time. I remember when Daniel Green released like an updated top 10 series of all time, and I think he dropped off the Poppy War from it because recency bias probably wore off. And, people were really upset about that. And I get it, because, some people are like, how can it become one of your favorites and then it's off, but like people just change, So I also think that like that doesn't necessarily mean that the person is disingenuous. I think it's more than that, whenever you can kind of tell. And to be honest, we're probably a little bit more in tune with it because like we're creators and stuff. You know what I mean? We pay attention to stuff that I don't think most viewers really probably care about, right? And Philip Chase put the 20K with money emoji tongue out.
So rude.
Leanna said Senlin Ascends was mid.
I know what she thinks.
She also said you hate all women earlier. I didn't get to tell you that.
Oh yeah, because I didn't like Denna. She thinks that I hate all women. I don't care about either of those statements.
This is interesting. Carlos says, I think there's an element of responsibility to having a huge following, though, especially if you have the capacity to affect the livelihood of a lesser known author. Yeah, that's a really tough thing to balance, because like also like what dictates a big audience, because like a big audience on YouTube and a big audience in our corner is two totally different things.
Well, we've talked about this before, Jimmy. It's like I don't rate self-published books the same as I rate the ones that must have gone through a bunch of people's editing hands at the trad pub houses, right? Because that's the good thing about getting them marketing and whatever. And so like, and if you're in trad pub, like my voice isn't going to sync your book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you're self-published and I read your book and I hate it, like I'm not going to go on and trash it the way I will trash freaking Lion of Macedon by David Gemmell.
Or Brian McClellan, anything. Poor guy.
Just the short stories. I mean, not poor guy. Dude sold millions of books. Like, not poor. He is
millions? Really?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's a bestseller.
No shit.
Yeah, him like that. I think he, just like Kwong, has been a New York Times #1, whatever. But like, so it's, you know, like, if I didn't like a self-published book, I'm not going to go on and trash it and seek that, because you know what? Maybe someone else will like it. So I just don't, like, I'm not as harsh, especially, and I'm also not as harsh with debut novels, which is why, like, the stuff in The Wolf that bothered me, I'm like, it's his first book. Like, okay, you know? So it's just, I try to be cognizant of that there are real life people. Like Brian McClellan, I can make my channel an anti-McClellan channel, and the man will still sell millions of copies. Like my one voice who thinks that his short stories are bad is not going to affect his you know, his bottom line, his real life. It might hurt his feelings, which I would feel bad about, because like, I don't want him, I don't even want to say bad. I want to understand why he made the choices he did. Because I'm not mean and I don't like hurting people's feelings. You know, I think we should keep in mind that there are human beings involved.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, I always try to keep it to the work. Now, as far as like, you know, you don't want to hurt someone's, like, I can't let myself think about that kind of stuff too. Now, self-published is a little bit different.
Yeah,
because that's a different ball game.
That's what I mean.
But when it's a traditionally published, I mean, I just give it the rating it deserves. Like it, and when I say deserve, I mean for my taste and my experiences, and I can't think about too much beyond that. You know, for instance, I gave Hunger of the Gods. I love John Gwynne. First off, I think he's a great guy. Love his family. I mean, they're just great people. I've loved a lot of his books. The Hunger of the Gods was my least favorite of his work, and I gave it a 3.5. And like, I wish I could have given it more, but that was just how I felt, you know? And I have to kind of keep that line there. Carlos is clearing it up though. He says, I'm not saying be positive, but there is never really a reason to be absolutely trash something. In my opinion, you can say you didn't enjoy it, talk about why, maybe don't.
I have never gone, I've never on my channel, like done nothing but trash McClellan stuff. I always say, like, I love this world. Why are, like, I don't understand why the noble's only characteristic is despising poor people. Like, I just don't get why this is this way. It doesn't make sense. Like and I will always go back to the prologue of Promise of Blood, which was phenomenal. And Patrick, in Shadow of Lightning, his new series, that Patrick didn't really it was disappointing to him, the new book. But he said the prologue was amazing. So I think McClellan like workshops the crap out of his prologues. And then I think he pitches his books off the prologues because they're good. And then, or he gets someone to write the prologues for him and then does the rest of the book.
Oh, now see, no, this is the line.
One of the two.
Maybe Philip.
They ain't the same.
It might be Philip.
Yeah, Philip writing the prologues, or Brian McClellan's writing the first parts and Philip's writing the rest.
Well, I'll tell you what, Philip on his week that was recently, he just said he's got some news coming in the new year.
I know.
Will you get an arc?
Well, we don't know the news. No, I don't have enough subs.
You don't
think
do.
So? You're at 10K.
I'm 10K Jimmy. I mean, things are different around here. You know what I mean? This ain't
and,
middle of the mall shit.
So hold on. Someone else said.
And by the way, I just wanted to point this out. Carlos was talking specifically of smaller, like just starting out authors or self-pubs, which I totally agree on.
And well, Alexis here says reviewers need to be loyal to readers more than authors, and I agree with that.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that not trashing something doesn't mean I won't give a real opinion. I'll still say, like, this didn't work for me. Like, this is what happens in this particular style or thing. Like, it didn't work for me. Like, if you like this kind of thing, maybe it will work for you. You can be honest without being scathing.
Yeah. I reviewed Kings of Paradise by Richard Nell on the channel. And, you know, I had some negatives in there. And I said, you know, said my piece, and he actually commented on the video and he said, hey, like, I really appreciate the review. So like, I felt like I did an okay. I actually really liked that review because I felt like I did a good job of balancing the things that I liked and did not like. We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen was another book. One really big surprise. I really liked it. I would like you to read it because I feel like your reactions to it would be hilarious. But I was positive on the book, but like while still letting people know the things that I felt might be an issue. Reviewing is just a skill if you want it to be, if you want to get better at it. And I feel like that's something that keeps me uploading and makes me really like this, because if me and you are kind of the RPG guys, we like to grind them skills up, them jobs up, and
go in the skill tree.
Yeah, that's right. And do better. There's been so many times I've uploaded reviews, and sometimes I just felt like I didn't say enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, like maybe I was too negative. Maybe I was too positive.
Oftentimes I'll edit my reviews and be like, well, like sometimes I'll say something like, okay, I didn't mean that the way it sounded. And I'll ask Christina, I'm like, Christina, how does this sound to you? And she'll be like, it sounds kind of mean. And I'm like, and then I'll weigh, how important is this point that I'm making? Is it worth going to press with it possibly being taken the wrong way? And I'll cut it if it is. And then sometimes I'll say things that are like a joke but sound insensitive. And I'm like, that's not going to play well on the internet, and I'll just cut it. I'm like, people who don't know me will probably not like that I said this thing. Some random, I don't know. Some people don't like the word stupid because I don't care. I'm like, what? You can tell me not to say the word stupid all you want.
It's fine.
I know it's fine because I'm going to call people stupid if they're stupid. Like,
sounds like they're being stupid.
They don't want to be called stupid. Don't be stupid. Like, don't be a dum-dum.
Caesar 2K1 has been around here a long time. Thank you for the $2 super sticker, Caesar. Appreciate it. Happy holidays, my friend. Yeah, I don't know. Lately, I haven't been having to cut too much out of my reviews. Like, I've been kind of just going. And I'll cut out like big pauses and stuff. But one of the reasons why is because I don't have the stress of doing the setup anymore. Like you said, like getting your desk and your live, everything set up. Yesterday I did my top 5 authors for 2023 that I want to read for the very first time. And I got it done so fast that I was like,
nice.
Like, did I forget something? Like, I was like, this is weird. So it feels nice when you get into that groove,
Yeah. Reviews. I edit reviews faster than anything else because the only thing I generally have to, sometimes there's a lot of like Christina will be like, are you okay over there? Cause you'll just hear, cause when I am making a point and I cannot articulate it the way I want, I will get caught on my tongue and I'll just go, pause for editing, start the point again. And then I'll mess it up again and go,
you know what I do? I yell into my microphone so I see the audio spike and I know where to cut.
That works too. I just see the blank spaces, but I have fewer bits in my reviews, and those are what make my editing take the longest, is including bits and crap. In reviews, I generally don't have a lot of bits. So, and I don't have any titles. I don't have any like stuff popping up. I don't have any video clips, so I can usually blast the reviews pretty quickly. I have freaking like 6 videos that I need to freaking edit and ready to go up, including my December TBR, which I'm putting out anyway, even though shut up. It's coming out on the 22nd.
It's almost not December anymore.
Don't care.
Connor asked me a question. Jimmy, your latest video, you mentioned trying Philip K. Dick next year. Are you interested in another hard sci-fi like Alistair Reynolds and Peter F. Hamilton? Absolutely. Reynolds is probably higher than Peter F. Hamilton just because the premises of Reynolds' work sound really, really interesting. Pushing Ice will probably be the first book I try from Alistair Reynolds. I think it's Mitch from my Patreon that always talks about Mitch Meds reading Rainbow, always talks about that. So yeah, I am interested in it. And for those who don't know, I read The 3-Body Problem this month and loved it. Thought it was super good. Can't wait to read Dark Forest. It's gonna be awesome.
All right, so here's what y'all can look forward to on my channel.
All right, let's hear it.
Like, Jimmy, I worked so hard to get ahead. I'm never ahead. And then someone threw a car at me.
So are you going, whenever you do it, some people at the end of the year, they do, I know you said you're going to do your favorite authors. Are you going to do like your worst reads? And the thumbnail, you had a pretty cool idea for like your rating scale, right?
Yes. All of my clickbait in 2023 is a year clickbait thumbnails. So I think for the first I think until I am healed, all of my reviews will be like, is this book better than being hit by a car or worse than being hit by a car?
Going 80 miles an hour.
Yeah. So Hero of Ages review. That'll be popular, but not really, because guess what? I trash a beloved character and his stupid crisis of conscience. Like, I'm so sick of his whining. Like, I think I spent 20 of the 47 minutes of that video, which like hating on this character's whining. Then I have a Lion of Macedon review where I definitely talk about how much I did not like it. And then Yellow Sky Revolt, which is a self-pub about the freaking Three Kingdoms. I got that review. And then I have the Blindfold Book Cover Challenge, Part 3, that Christina and I filmed. So I finally did another challenge. And then City of Lost Chances review. Oh, I did that one already. Oh, I just didn't delete the thing. I did City of Lost Chances, Last Chances, Lost Names, City. I don't know what that stupid book's called. And then finally, my December TBR. Oh, and then I have a video. I have a review that I filmed of KJ Parker's The Hammer, and I'm gonna let you know when I filmed that video.
Do you think he just goes to the toolbox, opens it up, and goes, "Yep"?
Yes, I do. He just loves random.
KJ Parker's hit sequel, Pliers.
So, by the way, Jimmy, I filmed this review on January 6th, 2022. That's when I filmed that review. It's like 47 minutes of footage, and I didn't want to edit it.
Wait, which review?
The Hammer by KJ Parker. I read it last December, and I filmed the review in January. I just didn't edit it.
Why didn't you post it?
I didn't edit it. It's 47 minutes of footage I gotta edit. I didn't want to do it. I hate it. I don't want to sit there. It was a particularly difficult review. It's one of those ones where I stumble over my words a lot because I couldn't articulate like the themes the way I wanted to. And so I know it's going to take a long time. Plus it's also 47 minutes. And so I keep putting it off, and I'm just like, and it's still sitting there because I'm not going to delete it. I spent 47 minutes recording that stupid thing, and it's a KJ Parker standalone. So I should get that out. I will. I still want to. I
would love to see you review his new book that's coming out this year. I think it sounds interesting.
Which one?
The Socket Wrench. What a boring author.
You're the worst. So my buddy living with me is a huge wrestling fan. He wanted me to ask you.
Okay.
He wanted me to ask you what the most pop you got, the most amount of pop you got when you were wrestling?
The biggest pop from the audience?
The biggest pop, yeah, from the audience. Yeah.
So this is a weird answer, but we did this show in a middle school. We did an anti-bullying rally, and the administration for the school let us do a wrestling show that night. So I came in and talked to every period. I don't know what class it was, but they came into the auditorium, and I had a big picture. So I used to be really overweight, and I had hair like down the middle of my back. I honestly, like, I looked terrible. I had wire glasses with like tape, and I said, I was talking about this person because that's how different I looked.
Yeah.
This person, and this is what they felt, and they didn't feel like they had any friends, and they got bullied, and that person's me. You know what I mean? And then I did this whole anti-bullying rally. So we did a show at the night, and we came up with the most ridiculous finish for this. So the idea was, Alan, and you'll love this. So the gym teacher was super loved by the student body. So he was my manager, and the bad guy I was wrestling, his manager was the vice principal.
Nice.
So the vice principal's like bad mouthing me. The gym teacher's like playing enforcer. So we're wrestling, right? The referee gets knocked down. Bad guy hits the low blow, goes to get a steel chair. He goes to hit me with the steel chair. The principal jumps in and is like, you can't hit him because now we're going to give the principal the rub. We're going to put him over as a good guy. You know what I mean? So he grabs the thing. He's like, you can't use a chair. That's illegal, And then whenever bad guy turns around, the gym teacher, who is about 6'6", choke slams bad guy. And then I go up top and I hit a big elbow drop from the top rope. Dude, these 12-year-olds
That's amazing.
were losing their
That's amazing.
minds.
That's amazing.
I have the footage. I'll show it to you sometime.
That's awesome.
Alan, that entire gymnasium was rocking.
That's
and
awesome.
I have wrestled in front of 10,000 people. I've read it multiple times, over 1,000 people for big promotions, some small promotions. I've never experienced anything like that in my entire life. I will never forget that as long as I live. And when that gym teacher hit this choke slam, I literally thought the roof was going to come off the place.
Nice.
It was terrific. It was my favorite moment. Moment in wrestling.
That's awesome.
And honestly, we helped a lot of kids. That anti-bullying rally was really, really special. I mean, and you know this. I mean, some of the things that kids go through in school are absolutely brutal. I mean, it can be a really tough place for someone who's trying to formulate who the hell they are and where they belong in the world. So it was also special because of that. I think that we left a pretty good mark that year.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was also awesome because my best friend Joe was also a wrestler, but he was the wrestling coach at the school, and he thought he was going to get the biggest pop of the night, but I got the biggest pop of the night.
Not the biggest pop, suck it.
Yeah, and then all the kids just kept asking about me, and it made him mad. So that was also
awesome. That's awesome, though.
Yeah. So there's your bingo card for people who are waiting for the wrestling mention.
I haven't talked about ancient history at all tonight.
Jennifer Robinson, Jimmy was waiting all night for that one.
The socket wrench, yeah.
Maybe I should find the clip and post it to my channel. I think people would love that. So yeah, that was that.
Sorry, really quickly. Charmaine dug up receipts. It was not 50-50 on Rage of Dragons. She dug up receipts. It was 29 people who loved it, 13 who did not. So it was really like 33-66. It was not 50.
So you were in the minority once again.
I'm always in the minority.
Philip wants to know if all of your reviews are about 47 minutes before you edit them down.
No. Generally between 30 and 40 minutes. But that includes the time that I spend looking at my notes. So I generally shave off about 10 minutes in a review when I edit it. So my reviews used to be much longer. I think I either had more to say or said it better, or I don't know. My reviews have gotten shorter. All my videos have gotten shorter than when I first began. I think I also talk faster, and I'm more like I do talk faster. I do talk faster in all my videos than I did. Okay, so Tales is a long-running JRPG franchise for video games, and my friends and I, before we all went to college, like everyone that came out in high school, and when we all lived in the same area, we would play 4 players, because that's why. I mean, they're not anything special. They're fun because you play them 4 players, and so you're all running around the battlefield and whatever. Tales of Symphonia, which is just about to be released for the Switch, we all played it, and my buddy Finn played the wizard, little kid named Genus, this little brilliant kid who casts spells, and when he casts Earthquake, which is like the level 2 of there's like 5 tiers of each of the elemental spells. Earthquake's like level 2 of the earth spells, and when he casts it, his character says, "It's pancake time!" And my buddy Finn,
sounds like Brandon Sanderson wrote it.
My buddy Finn really liked that, and so he started only casting Earthquake like, even if the guy is strong against Earth. And even after he earned the 3rd, 4th, and 5th level of that spell, he would not replace Earthquake. So for 60 hours, we listened to "It's Pancake Time." So recently, they announced that Symphonia is coming out with a remaster in February, and it's
Pancake Time again.
So I found the soundbite and made it his text noise. So when he texts me, it goes, "It's pancake time." So it's so stupid, but it's one of those things that you do 20 years ago, and it just
sticks with you.
You just keep doing. So yeah.
So you like The Wolf, right?
I did. I said that. I repeated that multiple times. I did enjoy The Wolf. Yeah.
You would say you liked it.
I did like The Wolf. Yes, I liked The Wolf.
By Leo Carew.
Yes, Jimmy, what are you doing to me here?
You liked it.
Yes, Jimmy, I liked the wolf.
Okay, so you liked it. All right. I just want to make sure that we were clear that you liked the wolf. Okay. What was the one dude's name? Do you remember? Daryl?
Like, that's what I was going to say, but I know it's not Daryl, so I wasn't going to say
Leanna thinks you're being way nicer about the wolf on this stream.
We're not talking. Well, that's okay. I don't need to counter your ludicrous overpraise, so I can speak as a reasonable person about what I liked. The problem is like you ludicrously overpraise it, so I have to make sure that people understand that it's good. It's just not Leanna good. Yes, I liked it. Garrett, Daryl. Oh, Lundensister. We did learn that part 1, the North. Part 2, the South. Part 3, Lundensister. This is stupid.
Which is a hell of a name, honestly.
So
people hate the way I say wolf.
I mean, wolf. Some people don't like that I say both, like BOLTH, both.
I think people just have to realize I've been hitting the head a lot.
I mean, it's just the way you talk. And you know, my stepmom says, like, people down here say all. They got to change their all. I'm like, what? Got to change our all instead of oil. All.
For the longest time, I thought it was washing machine because I grew up around.
Dang, West Virginia, in a town known as Wheeling, West Virginia, lived a boy with a 6-gun in his hands.
So I have to ask you this because you mentioned a little bit earlier, but you said you were struggling whenever you were getting to 6 authors. Did you read 10 authors this year?
I did. But the thing is, like, my favorite authors are authors of all time. So my 10 favorite authors of all time. And so it's like, I just historically have read a lot of the same authors, and a lot of authors I have read, but I have only read one book by them. And I will not count it if I haven't read like a series. You know
okay.
What I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
So the only one that is excluded from that is if they did not write a series. Like if their entire body of work does not include one series, I can still include them. So like if they're dead. So yeah. So I was just like, man, like I read a lot of the same people. Or I have, like, forever. Like R.A. Salvatore isn't one of my favorite authors anymore. He used to be. He's just, I mean, he's not anymore. R.A. Salvatore would have topped that list, like, when I was in middle school. Like, boom. It would have been R.A. Salvatore at 1 and then no other spots because I only read R.A. Salvatore books.
The best thing I've ever read from R.A. Salvatore is the Kingdoms of Amalur video game.
Dang, what a crappy game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it was kind of cool. It just, you know.
What are you reading now?
So right now I'm reading the last book. I think I'll have to read this year. I might read something else if I finish this early, but I'm reading Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence, which is the final Patreon random book for December. I read of the other 4 already, but I'm only 26 pages in, so it's really hard to tell. But it opens up with a character who's like dastardly and, you know, very Locke Lamora-esque in a way. Different because he's not from the gutter. He's royalty.
Yeah.
He's like 10th in line to the throne, so he's kind of a jackass and just kind of like gets away with stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it opens up with him like escaping a keep because he stole something and something like that. So yeah. We'll see how I feel, but I don't have any opinion yet on my arch nemesis, Mark Lawrence. I know a lot of people are wondering how I'll feel about it. There's many people hoping that I love it and have to eat my words. Some people have even, you know, thrown up the idea of bringing him on Chatting with Nuts, but I have a feeling that Mark Lawrence doesn't want this smoke, so I don't think that that'll happen.
Why do you have beef with Mark Lawrence?
I don't know. I just, you know, it's one of those things. It's kind of like you and like women, you know, it's like, it's not real, but
yeah, I got it. Oh, so you finished Islington's book or Islington's book?
Yes. And actually someone asked me in the chat, I forgot earlier, the chat was just been racing by, but the Shadow of What Was Lost by Islington, which is a weird way of saying Islington, but apparently it's
Islington. I thought people were saying Islington and it was actually Islington.
Everything I did on Google said Islington, but everyone told me that it's Islington. So we're just going to go with Islington. And
I did the exact same Google search because like I like instinctively I wanted to say Islington, but I looked it up and like I thought it was actually Islington.
I might just say Islington just to be me. But
different, bro.
I want to do a review for it, so I won't say too much. But for a book that has so much about it that I think is like silly or maybe not the best, it has to be one of the most plot heavy books I've ever read. Like it is plot driven fantasy, and I usually don't read that. So it being like a breakaway from the other stuff that I've read, it came at a really good time. And honestly, I really loved it. I had a blast. I think there's definitely stuff about it I didn't like, and there are things I have to mention in a review. I don't think the characters are very good. Like I think they're stick figures to be put into the plot. Like I just don't think that they matter all that much to me. And then there's some other stuff that I'll talk about whenever I do a review of it. But yeah, The Shadow of the Lost was great, and it's totally different than what I usually read. At least it felt like it. It's like sensational fantasy in the best and worst of ways. But I had a good time. I thought it was fun. You know, I'm not going to probably reread them ever again, but I will be continuing with the trilogy, and I'll definitely read book 2 and 3. I'm going to have to read them soon too, because it was confusing. So
I found an AMA he did. It is in fact Islington. It is in fact Islington. He confirms that it's Islington. I know I got it wrong too. Like in all the pronunciation things say it's Islington. And I don't know if that because there's a place in Britain, like a place named Islington, I think. So maybe that's why. But yeah,
I can see that.
In the AMA, it is in fact Islington.
Yeah, and a lot of people are slamming Shadow of His Lost as mid or boring, and that's totally fair. But Paul Ramberg said that he had the exact same experience that I did. Mid characters, but the plot was fantastic. Yeah, I just had a good time with it, you know? It's definitely Wheel of Time-esque. Like, people say it's like Wheel of Time, like 100%. And I just... People have to realize that there was stuff before Wheel of Time. Like, we have to stop this.
There wasn't.
I'm so tired of this.
There was not. So fun fact about Shadow of What Was Lost. That was the very first book that my wife bought for me. When we were dating, we took a date out to Barnes & Noble in Tallahassee because we don't have one here. Maybe not Tallahassee. One of the Barnes & Noble near us. Flip. Sorry. The way I'm sitting is not comfortable. And we bought each other a book. And she looked at that one and liked it and bought me that. And I forget what I bought her, but I bought her something. But
and you still haven't read it?
No. Too long.
It's so rude.
I mean, it is, but
it's too long.
Yeah, I bet if I got Christina in here right now and said, "Can you find on these shelves the first book that you bought me?" I don't think she could do it.
Well, she probably would because she's watching. She's a big fan of the show.
I mean, she is, but I don't think she's watching right now. I think she's in there trying to mess with health insurance.
Oh, yikes. Doesn't sound very fun.
No, stupid health insurance. I love the freaking commercials like, oh, go on the exchange and you could get healthcare for as low as $10 a month. You know, $10 a month, like $400.
Hell, Audible isn't that cheap.
Seriously, like, get out of there with that nonsense. So, like, ugh.
I feel like you could have like read maybe 6 less KJ Parker books. Like, I mean, I could, but you could have DNF'd the measuring tape and read The Shadow of What Was Lost.
Look, I don't know why I love him so much, but I do. Like, I read like Savages is the most strange book. Yeah, I read it. Like, the problem is Savages I really, really enjoyed. I read it in like 3 days in rehab. And I read it with like the 3-point font on the Kindle. And I read it in like 3 days at rehab. And I don't like reading electronically if I can avoid it. My eyes just get really tired. And so I read it. And then like when I was done, I'm like everything I tried to pick up, I'm like, I don't want to read. Like, I don't want to read. Like two of the No, sorry. 3 of the like 5 books I'm juggling right now are on the flipping Kindle. And so I'm just like, oh, I don't want to read on my Kindle. And so I'm in a reading slump right now, which makes me sad. The only time I read multiple books is when I'm in a slump. Because I just like I don't ever want to treat anything the way I treated Time of Courage, where I'm just like, I hate this book, but I hate it because I want to be done with it, not because it's bad. That's not what I want. So, and plus like right after things got really, really busy at the rehab place with planning with Christina and the move, and them preparing me to go home and stuff. And then the day after I finished Savages was my horrible day where I felt like crap because I had to be without caffeine for half the day. And then the next day, like, I just didn't feel good. Like, so it was just I don't know. It was just I don't know. And since I've been home, I'm just like,
yeah, you got a lot going on, dude. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be in a slump. You got 6 reviews in the chamber. You're fine.
I mean, I do, including the one I filmed in January. So stupid.
You could do a top 5 reviews I didn't post for the year.
I could. Like, you would have really liked the point I made in this one.
And just show like stills from the videos.
I thought it was very salient.
I just love that there's like a deleted scenes for the Library of Allenxandria.
For sure.
I agree with Kev. Kev says Alan needs to read Lies of Lockmore and Red Seas Under Red Skies before any more hardware-oriented novellas.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think the best way to get me to read a book is? Y'all think continuing to tell me to read it is the number one choice on that?
I do try to tell people. I said, just let them figure it out themselves.
They don't, Jimmy. They don't listen to you, and they should. They should, because they keep telling me, like, should read Light More. I'm like, cool. Like, that was literally the next book I was going to reach for, and now I put it at the bottom of the pile.
God, you would love it though. It's a shame.
Why is it so long? There's no reason it should be over 700 pages.
So I know it says 700 pages, but dude, it's more like a 500-page book.
You can't tell me that it's not 700 pages.
Well, you know how it is.
I do. Like I read Hero of Ages and Well of Ascension, which are both 700 pages. I read those very, very quickly.
And much worse.
I mean, I can't comment on that.
I see. Leanna says if Alan likes Liza Locke-Lamora, he'll agree with me again, and that's not worth the risk. And I think that kind of gets to the bottom of the problem here. And since Leanna is here, and everyone in chat has asked this at this point, Alan, give it. Why are you? What are you doing?
I was looking to see if I could find that book. What?
You're just.
Found it.
What is? Are you going to read it?
I mean, no. Look how big it is. You kidding? It's freaking 679 pages.
It flies by though.
Not in that format. It doesn't. Here's the thing. Let me tell you what Lies of Locke-Lamora has in its favor. It's mass market paperback. That is true.
But the text in that book, Shadow of What Was Lost, is massive.
Yeah, but the problem is the bigger the text is, the slower I read it.
Yeah, I think that actually is the case for most people. If you can fit more words on a page, I think it's been shown that you can read faster because your eyes like skip. You know what I mean? Give people an update on the Blade itself, because everyone has asked this, and the people want to know how much you dislike Joe Abercrombie, because we know you can't like it.
I don't dislike Joe Abercrombie. I think it's fine. I listened to some more today. I listened to Jazal sees Glockton and them kidnapping the mid guy.
Spoilers, bro.
Spoiler for chapter 3. You're right.
Chapter 3. You started it 3 months ago.
No, let me bust out my spreadsheet. I started it on audio.
But you're a spreadsheeter too?
Yeah, I'll forget otherwise. I started it. There you go, Alan. Don't put in the date you started it. Put it in the spreadsheet, but don't put in the day you started it. Anyway, it was sometime while I was at rehab. I was doing one of my group therapy things, and I started listening to it. So I listened to it some today. Yeah, so it's like chapter 3. So it's been like a week and a half, 2 weeks since I started it. But again, it's on audio. I'm listening to it on audio, so I don't. I'm not driving, which is when I usually listen to audio. So it may not get a ton of play until I'm back at work. But I am reading it, and it makes me happy because it was a patron pick. So at least I am fulfilling one of those obligations. So it's fine. I'm on chapter 3. I can't really judge it. I don't dislike it. You know what I mean? So I don't really know how to. I can't make a call yet because it's. Yeah, Michael, I know. I should have gotten the dang graboid. I don't know why I picked it up.
So how are you doing with the Paper Menagerie by King Liu?
Scream at.
I mean, you also scream in the chat.
Yeah, but when that's why I'm saying why she's screaming. I'm assuming she has a point to make because that's why I scream and I'm making a point. So I'm trying to figure out like, did I miss like, is there something about the Paper Menagerie I'm supposed to be? So the Paper Menagerie is somewhere over. Where is it?
You know, you can talk about the book without getting it, right?
I mean, yes, but I'm also trying to find it so I can. What did I do with it? What the flip? Oh, it's up here. I lied.
Get your graboid.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's up there with. It's up here. It's here. I have not read a story on it in a while. I haven't. That's what I used to break my reading slow last time. I read a bunch of short stories, which I did not do this time. But I haven't read it. I haven't read it. Sorry, Evie. I'll read it at some point.
All that.
Look, Catherine doesn't think I'm going to like lies.
It literally is pitched as swashbuckling. Like it is on the book. It says swashbuckling. You love buckling swash.
Look. As long as the swashes are being buckled, I'm there. Let me see if I've got.
But you're not.
I don't know where. Oh yes, it is. Okay. So Jimmy, for you, I have a paperback shelf over here. You can't see it. That's 2 rows deep, and I put the ones that I'm most likely to read soon on the second row facing out so I can see them and not forget about them. And Lies is one of those. So I got it right here.
Good.
I graboided it. Don't mind if I do. So to be fair, what I actually thought about is something I wanted to do this year. And again, it's all pipe dream because I don't read anything, remember? I never forget. I don't actually read. I come up and I blow up a lot of smoke and mirrors and make people think that I read things. I do not do that.
You just don't have time.
I haven't said that. I have nothing but time right now. Like, that's the problem. Like, I can't even use that excuse. Sit around.
So maybe it's not the time.
I get exactly the same amount done not going to work as I do going to work because now I got freaking appointments to go to all the dang.
Do you like reading?
No, I'm in it for the fame. So this is 700 freaking pages. But what I wanted to do, so there's something I did want to do this year was like, so I see a bunch of books and I'll flip them open and I'll like read a couple like sentences on the first page or whatever. So I was thinking about like asking like a bunch of my friends and having them pick a book, and I'm gonna read the first chapter of all of those books, and like whichever one I like the most, like that's like I'll keep reading that one or whatever. Does that make sense? Because sometimes I'm like, I just want to read like the beginning of some stuff and see if like this will be like something that I got to be like, oh, because it would make me get to books like faster. Like what started it is I opened like Darkness That Came Before and was like, oh, it's a 30-page prologue. And oh no, it was going to be the first 30 pages. That's it. The first 30 pages of something. Because, you know, some first chapters are like a page.
Yeah.
So I read like the first like page and a half of Darkness That Came Before. And I'm like, this looks interesting. And then I was like, well, not reading it, put it back. And, you know, moved on with my life. And I did that with like The Spider last night. I read like the first page. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I put it back.
So you're speed dating.
Sure.
Your books.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen booktubers do like the first chapter challenge before. They take like 5 books and they read like anyway, if you had to pick, would it be Loch Lamora? Would you want me to read the first 30 pages of this?
Yeah. Yeah. Like honestly, out of all the books that we ever talked about, I think Lies is the one that
it makes it to chapter 9 if I do that. Literally.
Oh, dude. I have full confidence that you will have a good time with that book. Like Stoner levels of recommendation.
Well, you haven't steered me wrong with your single recommendation. You are 1 for 1.
I am 1 for 1. How many books of yours have I?
Jimmy, look.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. I read Cage of Souls last year because you said you were going to read it.
Not on my recommendation. Here's the thing, Jimmy.
You said you were going to read it.
You have read 1 book on my recommendation, and it is The Company, and I appreciate it.
Wait,
Most of the other books that you have read were not on my recommendation.
Mort.
What?
Mort.
I would never have recommended Mort. I recommend Guards.
You told me to do Guards.
I always recommend Guards. The problem is people oversell the death books, and people are like, oh, the death books sound cool. I'm like, I know what it sounds like. You should read Guards. So Mort, I know, and then Emperor's Blades, not on my recommendation.
No, you led an entire. I mean, it ruined your channel.
I didn't vote for it. It was my 3rd choice.
Wait, what did you vote for?
I voted for. There was a KJ Parker series, which I voted for, and then there was another one, Risen Kingdoms, which I was like, I voted for Emperor's Blades 3rd.
I mean, Alex says Alan always bails on Buddy Reads.
That's because people read the book without me.
Well, what about The God Is Not Willing?
Yeah, no, that one's my fault.
Okay, so we got at least 2.
Yeah, my work got, but you didn't read The God Is Not Willing on my recommendation. You read it because of Stephen Erickson.
I read it. I know. I read it in March because you said we were going to read it in March.
That's true. You did read it. Yeah, but we're not. Now we swapped into Buddy Reads. We were talking about recommendations.
Okay. I got another one.
Okay.
Black Company.
Was that on my rec?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, well then I'm 1 for 2. I'm at 50%. I'm at like, and really, you didn't dislike The Company. It was just mid for you, which is fine.
It was fine. Yeah, it was fine. It was a good book.
I am happy. Like I am happy that you agree KJ Parker is a talented writer.
Like,
whether you like the book or not. Like I count that a victory for me. Like,
he almost reads more literary, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I liked it. It was the expectation of not knowing that there was like literally no fantasy in it. Like it's not fantasy.
For sure.
Which is fine. I read other things other than fantasy, but like I thought I was reading a fantasy author.
Oh, Chiago has picked Red Sister. He wants me to read the first 30 of Red Sister. Yes, Jennifer, I should do it with my patrons and Jimmy, because I already let Jimmy do it. Look at Evie. Hey, Evie, do you walk into crowded malls where people are getting their picture taken? Not that one. And be like, kids, Santa isn't real, and then just run away. Like, that's what Evie just did. Evie just, we were having a birthday party, for our toddlers, Jimmy, and Evie just came in and, stuck her hand in the cake and then walked away. That's what Evie just did. Evie
Alex thinks
that's not groundbreaking, Alan. People do that all the time, idiot.
Why would you ever do it when someone else has already done it?
That's what Evie just said. That's the tone she said it with.
Alex says that you will not like Book of the Answer, and Matt's fantasy book review says the problem with Red Sister is not the first 30 pages; it's the next 300. Yikes.
Well, look, I love Matt, and Matt has really good opinions on some things, and then Matt has inexcusable opinions on other things, and I can't. Some opinions, I'm just like, Matt, where did you find that Bobo opinion? Did you buy that opinion from from some dude's trench coat in an alley? Because that is how bad that opinion is in quality.
Evie is correct. You being a hipster would mean that you would also not want to do a video that everyone else has done. But I guess if you didn't know, you would make it and then be like, I wouldn't have flipping done it if I had known.
I didn't know. I'm going to do more challenges this year because I really want to. Oh, another video I'm coming out with. I'm coming out with a 10 vows for 2023 video where I am going to make 10 sweeping proclamations. And if by the end of 2023, I do not, for each vow I do not keep, I will draw one punishment from the Pitcher O punishments.
But wait. Have you read Six of Crows yet? Wasn't Six of Crows a punishment?
Yeah.
So the punishment doesn't mean anything if you don't do it.
No. so what has happened is so my punishments a lot of them used to be like read books that I'm probably not going to like. I have realized because I don't read that that's not going to work. So instead, the punishments have been replaced with things that don't involve me having to read something that I'm not going to read. So it's stuff like I have to for a month wear a freaking Akatar Sarah J. Maas t-shirt and paraphernalia in my videos, or I have to do Jimmy's workout routine. Thank you, Philip. I know. That was Phillips that he threw in there. And so I have to film a video of me doing what you would normally do on a normal day at the gym.
I'd put you through leg day, but
that would be hilarious. Just watch me I cannot do this.
Just re-injure. Your pelvis just shoots out of your leg.
Yeah. So it's but yeah, that could be up to 10 punishments I would have to draw. In fact, let's take a look-see at some of the punishments we have in the picture.
So who's going to be the first person to copy this idea now that you've said it publicly?
I mean, no one. No one ever does challenges except me, really. It makes me sad. And then sometimes people do challenges, but they make it to where they can't lose. And I'm just like, what's the point? I don't like, where's my dang picture?
Jennifer says a punishment should be that he has to edit and post his reviews within a week of finishing the book.
Dang. Hold on. Let me write that down.
That is a good one.
Let me write that down. No, you should say, literally, I'm changing it. Next day.
Oh, this is going to make you so happy. Joshua says, I bought a used copy of the first two Long Price Quartet, and I'm planning on starting it next year based on Alan always shouting its praises from the highest mountaintop.
I would really find it, I would find it difficult for people to read all of Long Price Quartet and not like it. I would understand why you wouldn't enjoy 1 and 2. Really, when people don't like it, I get it. I don't know how someone could read the third book and be like, I didn't think that was good. I don't understand how it could happen.
Did you know Kai DNF'd it? You know Kai.
Yeah, Professor. He DNF'd. Yeah. He didn't DNF the third book. I promise you, he didn't have no third book.
No, Kai DNF book 2.
Yeah. I know that, and I understand that. But if you make it anyway, just read through book 3 and you'll be like, oh, that's an interesting choice. And so yeah, but I get it. I do understand. It's not for everybody. I don't go out and saying no. Well, that's because Leanna,
So Leanna says, when people don't like it, I get it, unless if it's her.
Oh, Leanna's reason for not liking it is stupid. I understand why people don't like it. Leanna's reason for not liking it is dumb. There are, I knew that. It wasn't a surprise. I knew that. I had just forgotten. That's how I knew it was the second book. So I do understand why people would not like it. I don't understand when it's the reason that Leanna gives.
What was the reason?
The fact that they do poses to symbolize it's oh, he took a pose of apology. And they do that a lot, especially in the first book. And that's why she hated that. I'm like, that's the stupidest reason to not like that book. You can like it because it's boring and it's slow and nothing happens or, whatever. But not liking it because they take poses to would you rather him write out all the nuance? That would make the book 200 pages longer. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, Kyle. All I've written is punishment. I'm sitting here what was I writing down?
Here.
Have to film and edit review.
Also, you have to open up videos with Yes Queens.
Yes, I think that one's already on there. My picture of punishment was literally within arm's reach. I don't know why I was going over. Let's check it out. So the things I might have to do if getting it wrong, if failing challenges. So these are be vow breaking things. I must renounce one holy war with apology.
Ooh, Leanna, if you're out there, there's a chance.
Let me see. Must defend a trope that I hate and say why a trope that I like is dumb. Okay, hold on. Can you click on those comments again? I need to see who said those.
So Matt says, boring and slow, nothing happens. You're really selling this book for us, Alan. And then Radella says, the description of the poses is beyond annoying.
Radella didn't like Augustus. I don't have to like this. I hate who wrote this one. Live stream playing Assassin's Creed Unity.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Reading 5-star reviews for Babel before it came out with a straight face.
That's a good one. I'll write that down.
This book will change literature.
I like this one. Recreate a book cover either with photos or arts and crafts. I'm going to do one of those shirtless Rand ones from the Old Wheel of Time ones or the open shirt ones. What else we got? Hold on. Hold on. Christina picks a book for my TBR. This is one of the few book ones I have, so that'd be fine. Let me see. A video about how good Ben Barnes is as an actor. I don't even know what he looks like.
How about an author interview with Brian McClellan?
I'd be so embarrassed. Can't make any ancient history references for an entire live stream.
You're doing pretty good so far tonight.
I have. Nice. The night is still young. The night is still young. Top 10 fantasy romance covers vid.
I like that one.
How
about dramatic Sarah J. Maas sex scene reading?
Quit trying to demonetize my channel. Video about why Samwise is the MVP of LOTR. Dramatic reading of the Red Wheelbarrow poem by William Carlos Williams and discuss why it's good. I hate that poem.
Leanna suggested punishment. Tell Leo Carew how dumb the wolf is.
This one's from Sarah. Dramatic reading in costume of one of Empire of the Vampires chapters.
I like that one. But he swears so much. I don't think you would want to do that one.
Well, no. I'm allowed to use like vamping as the swear words. I'm allowed to pull a Sanderson. Wear an elf costume in all of December's vids. Plot twist. I got hit by a car. Video as hipster Alan, where I condescendingly discuss books that are too mainstream. So standard video, basically.
Alex says he wants to pick the chapter from Empire of the Vampire.
Oh, fair enough.
This is book of the year, I think.
Oh my gosh. So there's a bunch of stuff like that in there. So anyway, I'm going to make 10 vows and I'm going to see if I can keep them.
I love it. I think that's all. Those are really good punishments. And that's a great original idea. That's good stuff.
If Charmaine's still here, one of my vows, Charmaine, one of the vows I am making, I will finish Greenbone Saga in 2023.
I'll tell you what, if you do it a little later in the year, I might just join you.
Nice. Very cool. Let's do it. So that is one of my vows. So if I do not succeed, and I'm trying not to make all of them like, oh, I'm going to read this book or I'm going to finish this book. But no, I'm definitely going to, I've been thinking about it. But
You're going to read more. How about in 2023, you don't read a single KJ Parker book?
No, that's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen.
How many more did you have left?
Well, Zara and I just finished finally all of his novellas and standalones. We still have some of the short stories in the short story collection, and another like little novella short story collection is coming out in March. But we now have all of his series. Zara and I have never read one of his series, only his standalones and novellas. He has 4 trilogies.
I didn't know there were that many tools.
The
handsaw, protractor. I'm running out.
The first one of the engineering trilogy is called Devices and Desires. Doesn't that make you want to pick up a book?
That sounds like somebody's making out with a screwdriver. It sounds terrible, Al. I'm not gonna lie. It's like Robin Hobb level.
I did tell you I was starting Savages. You missed it, but I did tell you that.
Kevin said, if Alan likes Greenbone, I unsub and cancel my Patreon membership.
Is that your vow? Oh no.
Damn,
do you not like Green? Have you read it, Kev? Or
no, he hasn't read it.
He also hates the hype. Good for you. But I've read Jade City. I read Jade City 2 years ago. And Charmaine really wants me to read it. And I like Charmaine is one of literally my, oh, shut up, Leanna. One of my literal, like,
Matt also hated it.
Cool, guys. I haven't read that one. So like, you're coming at me with like, hey, I hated this book you haven't read yet. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, Charmaine is one of my oldest booktube friends, and so I want to read it, because I like my friends. I would like, if anyone asked me, I would never say, hey, the first KJ Parker novel you should be, it should definitely be 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. I would never say that.
It's interesting because I do think that's his most popular work, though.
It definitely is his most popular one.
Why is that?
I don't know. Like, I honestly have no idea.
They actually carry it at both of my bookstores here.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, and that's where it hit the mainstream. Like, that's where Orbit hit the, I don't know. It will probably be the last series that I read. It's the one I'm least interested in of all of his series.
I mean, I got to say, a lot of
trilogies.
A lot of people were dunking on 16 Ways, but now there's a little bit of a comeback. I mean, there's some people in chat saying that 16 Ways to Defend a, what is it, a walled city? I don't know what it's called.
16 Ways to Defend a Walled City?
Yeah, that. People are saying it's pretty good. So I think you're just attracted to polarizing books, my friend.
I understand why people don't like KJ Parker. I do. But like, when people come to me like, hey, I didn't like KJ Parker, as if it's supposed to reveal some like crystalline truth that I'm all of a sudden not going to like him. It's like, okay, like, I know that I don't read things that are popular. Like, I know that. Like, I know that most people don't like the stuff that I read. Like, I do understand that. Especially the more obscure stuff like Parker, like the weird, the niche stuff. City of Last Chances by Tchaikovsky was excellent.
Yeah, someone actually asked about that earlier. I forgot to.
It was really, really good. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Tchaikovsky books I've read.
How long is it?
Dang it. Crystal says I can't tell Leanna to shut up for a week. Dang it. How long is it? 400. It's less than 500 pages.
And it's a standalone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
I liked it a lot. That doesn't mean anything, Jimmy. It is impossible to know what you will like, other than, I don't know.
Well,
it's impossible to know what you'll like.
Well, I mean, you did have a problem with me enjoying a certain book recently.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that earlier. Joanna doesn't like every time Joanna's reading a book, I'm like, I don't know when the next time Joanna's going to read a book that couldn't be found in a college literature class. Like,
what's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it, except that Joanna now, like, when someone's like, hey, Joanna, you should read this, it's a really like fun, good time. Joanna's like, a good time? But what great conundrum of the universe shall I be pondering during this time? Oh, there's no philosophy in it? Into the carry-on pile with it. Go. That's what I'm saying. Like Joanna and Philip and, you proved me wrong. But like, they can only read things that are like just these great ponderous novels. Like, they have to just like, oh my gosh, what profound truth the universe showed me in this book. Oh, I give this no stars because that would be derivative. Instead, I give this 3 transcendental experiences out of, a million galaxies. That's what they do now.
Joanna says, I didn't know I sounded like that. I mean, you're making her sound like she's Harold Bloom. Out of all,
I don't know who that is because I'm not pretentious.
He is possibly the most renowned literary critic, I think, in the West. A bit controversial, but definitely had a lot of really good bodies of work. He's a big fan of Blood Meridian. That's why I know him. Which you were upset that I liked Blood Meridian.
Oh, no, I wasn't. Okay,
you were furious.
I was listening to a discussion on someone's channel about Blood Meridian, and it rubbed me the wrong way because it sounded to me like some of the people who didn't enjoy Blood Meridian like felt bad, like were like sounded apologetic because they didn't like it. And someone was like, yeah, no, I get that it's a really like, I understand that it's a tough and challenging novel. And I don't, and that guy wasn't doing that. That's not what he was doing, but it triggers something in me to where it's like, I don't believe that someone gets a title of genius just because you wrote something that is inaccessible. Like, it makes me mad that, like, oh, you're not smart enough to enjoy this book. It's a little too challenging, but he's a genius. What if he's just a crap writer who writes stuff that most people don't like? I'm not saying he is. I've never read Cormac McCarthy, so that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But like, there's a lot of discussion about literary works where it's like that. Like Sarah on her channel was like, I really want to read Infinite Jest. It's known as like by David Foster Wallace or whatever. It's known as like one of the most difficult like novels to get through. Or James Joyce and his crap hole Ulysses, which he wrote like to be inaccessible. Like, why do we label these people geniuses? Like, I'll write you an inaccessible book right now. It will be in no language that anyone understands. It will be 9,000 pages, and I will not use any word over 3 letters long. And everyone can hail me like, oh my gosh, what he's saying. Oh, he just like brought the cosmos into my, like, no, I'm trolling you. It got under my skin as like, I don't like pretension, like actual pretension. I know I talk about pretension a lot, but it's just like, I don't like people talking about like, oh, it's hard to get into as something that's a net positive. Like I say, hey, guess what? A lot of what Park talks about is boring for a lot of people. I don't say that, oh, it's a really challenging novel to read because he talks about a lot of stuff that a lot of people wouldn't like. That makes me sound that you're wrong for not liking it, as opposed to, you know what? Like, there's no reason this needs to be so freaking hard. So I don't have a problem with Blood Meridian. I got triggered by a discussion surrounding Blood Meridian.
Well, so I know what you're saying, but I will say this. The thing about Blood Meridian that kind of like sparked something new in me was, for the first time in a while, it was a book that I don't necessarily know I had a fantastic time reading, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I knew there was more to it. You know what I'm saying? So then I started rereading it. And I do think I don't have a problem calling a book challenging. I don't have a problem with that. I think that it's okay to say a book's challenging. Now, to say it's but to say that it's challenging and then use it in a demeaning manner, I do think is a problem. But, you know, Malazan is called challenging a lot, right? And maybe it is, maybe it's not. It depends on who you are and what you like. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but telling someone that they didn't enjoy it because it's challenging, like, that's calling someone stupid. Like, you didn't enjoy it because you were too dumb to understand what it was trying to do. Like, saying it's challenging is fine. Yeah. It's when you use that as oh, well, you didn't like it because it's challenging. Like, that is my problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to encourage people to embrace the challenge a little bit, because sure. I do think sometimes people give up on something. You know what I mean? But I actually like this quote a lot. Shelf and Stable said, "There's a difference between challenging and up its own ass," and I do think that there is a very fine line, and it depends on who you are, where you land on that side.
Ulysses is the second one.
So yeah, I've been told that I should read Ulysses. So
who told you that?
A lot of people did.
They're not your friends. They don't like you, Jimmy. That's the only reason anyone would recommend that to you. Those people hate you and want you to suffer. No, guys, friends don't let friends read Ulysses by James Joyce.
What's so bad about it? Isn't it supposed to be like this literary experiment? Like, he's very experimental with his prose, and like it's supposed to like kind of stretch.
I was going to tell you to just go read the first chapter, but I have a horrible feeling you're going to come back and be like, I really dug this, and I'm just not going to be able to handle it. I despise Ulysses with every fiber of my being. Like, I would rather not read KJ Parker for 2 years than ever read James Joyce's Ulysses again.
So you read the whole thing?
No, I read plenty.
You didn't finish it.
No, and guess what? I failed that unit in my freaking college lit class because I wasn't going to read it.
Bro Dude Guy wants to know, and also this is his first stream, so he's having fun. So glad to have you. He said, do you think Infinite Jest is pretentious? I've never read it.
I haven't read it.
I don't know anything about it.
I know that people talk about how like hard it is to get through, and you know.
Well, I'm really interested in Gravity's Rainbow because Tad Williams mentioned it, and that's supposed to be a really challenging book as well. But you know, maybe I'm pretentious. I don't know. I might be pretentious, Alan. Can we still be friends?
If you were actually pretentious, no. But you're not actually pretentious. You just like pretentious books, which is fine. I like pretentious books too. Like, to be fair, Parker's books are actually.
I was about to say, I feel like Parker's a little smug.
He definitely. Yes. Like, I'm not even gonna argue that. 100%. I guarantee. Like, and the thing is, I call that out, especially when it's bad. Like, his most recent novella, I didn't like at all. It's my least favorite of his novellas. And I call him out because of the smugness. I'm like, dude, like, I don't need your personal diatribes in your novellas. Like, I get it. You don't like this specific thing in our real world. Like, but it does feel smug. And, you know, I like, he's not immune. I don't love everything he produces. I like his writing style. I do not love all of his books.
Yeah, I would definitely put him on the side of pretension for sure.
For sure. You know who's not pretentious? Like John Williams, shockingly. Like, he's so unpretentious and yet writes literary stuff.
Yeah, you know, John Williams, I think you could, like, I could probably coin him as maybe someone that has like a mystique in their writing without being overly flowery. Like, there's something about it that, like, he figured out the recipe on how to write that has such an impact without being over anyone's head. You know, and a lot of people point at Hemingway, which, by the way, I finally started reading Hemingway. I've been reading his short stories. I bought a collection of them, and it's okay. It's pretty good.
Which short story collection?
It's just like, I don't know, like his greatest hits. I don't know what it is.
Word.
But when I was reading it, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, everyone talks about the Hemingway prose style and everything.
I hate Ernest Hemingway.
Do you?
Yes. Oh my
Let's just dunk on all the classics. Go ahead.
Like, put on some shoes.
What? Wait, what?
He just sat around with his freaking tropical shirt with his flip-flops on, writing about the old man in the sea, which is just a dreadful, dreadful book. Don't let someone trick you into reading it, Jimmy. Go read Moby Dick. Like,
I am going to read Moby Dick.
I mean, that's good. Like, as long as you're not reading Ulysses or Old Man in the Sea, you're in good shape.
So I guess maybe this is your redemption for everyone who's throwing their classics at the screen watching you. Pitch me on.
Okay, so it is well known that I'm not a huge fan of classic literature. So I mean, I'm the wrong person to even be having this discussion with if anybody wants some reasoned arguments. I don't like classic literature. I don't like the way they're written. I think they are obtuse for the modern reader, at least for me. I guess they're just too hard. They're really challenging, Alan. Like, you know, it's okay to not really like those challenging books.
Have you thought about getting good?
I mean, I guess I should get good. But there are a lot of, like, I really like Nathaniel Hawthorne. I like his writing style as far as like classic authors we're talking about. I like Henry James. Of the Jameses. William is pretentious. I hate James Joyce. I despise Charles Dickens.
Really? You hate Dickens?
Yeah, because Dickens was paid by the word, and it shows. Like,
but you like Moby Dick?
I do, because I like whales and whaling.
And Sarah Reeds hates whales. I found that out, by the
way. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, Moby Dick, like, it's like his like, you know, cataloging of the whaling industry is the same thing as what Parker does with, like, hey, this is how you make enough arrows for an army. Like, that boring stuff. If it's something that, I mean, you know, autistic, if it's something that I'm interested in, like, I want to read it. So I like whaling. And I like whales. So that's why I like Moby Dick. If I didn't like either of those things, I would not like Moby Dick because of the same reason. If Dickens wrote about anything I liked, like, I like Tale of Two Cities. Like, that's my favorite of his. I like the musical Oliver. I don't like the book. who does Ed Poe? Poe writes short stories, and I'll
I
read
like Edgar Allan
anybody's
Poe.
short stories. I'll read anybody's short stories.
I actually really like Edgar Allan Poe. I remember that having a really big impact on me, like right after I had learned how to read, because I was late to learning how to read in school. Like they thought I was just going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And then once I figured out how to read, I just read all the time. And I remember reading Edgar Allan Poe in like 5th grade, I think, and I loved it. What was the heartbeat one where the guy can like
Telltale Heart. Telltale Heart.
Oh, so good.
I saw a play of that when I was in like high school. It was super creepy. My favorite of his is Cask of Amontillado, where he just walls that dude up like in the crypt, like behind the cask, just walls that drunk dude up. Never hear him about again. Never hear from him again. I also like someone says some. Oh yeah, Heart of Darkness is trash. I don't like Heart of Darkness. Christmas Carol's good. I do like Christmas Carol.
That's the one Dickens I really want to read. Actually, is Christmas
It's
Carol.
good. It is good. I actually really like
Tad
it.
actually recommended it. He was talking about, it was really interesting to hear Tad talk about like future writers. He is a big fan of, if you're going to write in the genre, to not read the genre. Like
really?
Deeply. Like obviously you're going to have an influence. So you have read the genre.
That's
right?
Pierce Brown. Pierce Brown doesn't read a dang thing.
Well, Erickson doesn't either. Erickson said he stopped reading fantasy because like he writes it and he doesn't. And I get it because, for instance, when I was wrestling, I stopped watching wrestling because I watched old stuff, but I would never go watch the new stuff because I didn't want to know what other people were doing. You get into the comparing and all that, and then you're in a bad headspace, especially when you're creating art. Like I think that actually is
that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the worst thing. For me, I think it's interesting if you can kind of have a conversation with the genre,
Heart of Darkness, I know, is not Dickens. It's Conrad, but someone earlier in a comment referenced Heart of Darkness. So I referenced
that's why you got to read the comments out loud.
I referenced that in the middle of the Dickens conversation. 1984 is fine. It is overused. People say Big Brother and don't actually know what that means.
Yeah, that's weird now.
Brave New World is fine. My favorite classic that I read when I was in high school is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, because it scratched my Pratchett itch, and I don't know, I just liked it. I connected with it. And there was also a play that we had to read in AP Lit called Royal Hunt of the Sun. It was by Peter Schaefer, who wrote his magnum opus is Amadeus. There's a 3-something-half-hour movie called Amadeus based on his play.
I just think of the Weird Al song.
Yeah, well, it's based on Mozart and Mozart's life or whatever. But it was a play about Francisco Pizarro and the Portuguese destroying the Incan civilization, and it was so good. Like it was so good, just like the king of the Incans. And then Francisco Pizarro, there's two cultures clashing, and there's this on the stage. There's this huge, like golden foil sun that, as it continues, like as the play goes on, more of the foil, the gold on the sun in the temple gets stripped away because the Portuguese are like completely ravaging the place. It's so good. But it's a play, and you usually don't read those in school. But I just don't like a ton of classic stuff.
So you do not like Catcher in the Rye?
Jimmy, I hate Catcher in the Rye.
Do you really?
I despise it. I'll read Catcher in the Rye before I'll read Ulysses, because Catcher in the Rye is short. I hate Catcher in the Rye. Like Catcher in the Rye, you're supposed to like it when you're a teenager, so you can be a huffy teenager like Holden Caulfield. No. I've always been Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh. Like I've always been a curmudgeon, being like, stop, phonies. Oh, I hate phonies. I'm gonna go on my own because all those phonies. Like, oh, how deep this is. A teenager having an identity crisis. That's never occurred in life.
Have you read any Russian literature?
Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah, I'm reading that this year.
Oh, really? I like it. I like as much as you can like Russian literature. I like a lot of the Russian plays. I like Chekhov a lot. So I really like Uncle Vanya, Cherry Orchard. So most of my Russian literature is play stuff. I've read parts of War and Peace, too long, way too long. Parts of Anna Karenina. I have read
another one I'm interested in.
but only because a good friend of mine wanted me to read it. Yeah, I've not read Lolita. That's Russian. Is that Russian? The guy who wrote it is Russian, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I just know that Lolita is super divisive.
There's a weird kid at my school who really liked Lolita way too much last year, talked about it all the time. So the teacher took it off the reading list as a choice for this year. It's like, okay, y'all can't read this anymore. Y'all gonna be weird. So I've never read John Steinbeck. Because just reading about the Dust Bowl has never been like, oh,
it doesn't get you going.
Allow me.
It doesn't.
So Steinbeck is a glaring hole in my classic literature. And again, there's actually a lot I haven't read, but usually I've read at least part of something that someone wrote. I've never read anything by Steinbeck.
Yeah, I have Of Mice and Men, and then I have East of Eden, and then
Of Mice and Men is the
Grapes of Wrath.
Is the I will love him and pet him and call his name George. Like the Looney Tunes spoof on it was the guy who picked up, oh, my bunny rabbit. That's one with Lenny, right? That's Of Mice and Men. Someone who's read it.
Yeah, I believe it is Lenny.
That's Lenny.
Yeah. And I just opened it up. There's someone named Bill Tenner. I don't know. I just opened it.
Kay, I have read the Satyricon. I have a copy of it in my classroom. And the Aeneid, of course. I have to teach the Aeneid, so I've definitely read the Aeneid.
Yeah, I feel like Steinbeck's one that I really do want to read, and I think I'm gonna like it, but we'll have to see. What about Shakespeare? You ever read Shakespeare?
I love Shakespeare, and I know that's super cliche.
I liked it in high school.
I love Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare's command of language. I again Shakespeare. I know Shakespeare and Terry Pratchett, who have just the best commands of the English language that I've ever seen in my entire life. And so y'all in the comments, y'all don't need to just freaking start firing shots across the bow because you disagree or because there's someone else. That's okay. I literally just said, for me, that's fine if you disagree. But that's part of the reason I like Shakespeare so much is because of what he does with words and his command of the English language is insane. And the problem is the plays that I really like, no one ever does. No one ever does any of the plays that I like. All anybody does is Midsummer Night's Dream for the 20th time. I'm so sick of freaking seeing Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm so sick of seeing Romeo and Juliet. I'm so sick of some freaking community theater executive director needing to give himself a freaking passion project so he has them do Hamlet unabridged so he can play Hamlet even though he's about 20 years too old to play Hamlet. I'm so sick of seeing Hamlet, and I like Hamlet the play, but I'm just tired of it. No one ever does Julius Caesar. No one ever.
See, I read Julius Caesar in high school and I loved it.
Oh, so good. No one ever does Othello. My dream roles are Cassius in Caesar or Iago in Othello. I want to play Iago so flippin' bad. No one ever does Othello. No one ever does any of the histories. So screw any of the Richards. Screw all the Henrys. No one ever does them. And I did... My city did do Pericles, Prince of Tyre once, which was shocking that they would do such an obscure play by him. I like Merchant of Venice, but it's done more. It's just not done as much as I want it to be.
So I read Julius
cool.
Caesar.
Tito is pitching Gene Wolfe, the Book of the New Sun, as people who have commands of the English language. I really like. I just really like seeing what people can. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say in high school I read not Hamlet, Macbeth, and Julius Caesar. Those were the ones I read, and I loved both of them. That was probably my favorite part of English class. I just remember everyone else hating it, and I couldn't wait to read the next section. I was so excited.
Seriously, like the key to reading Shakespeare is like read to the punctuation, not the end of the line. But like people don't, they open it, they're like, oh, it's the end of the line. That's where I'm going to take my breath. Why are you doing that? Like literally the thought continues on the next line. Like pause at the period, you know? It's, I don't know. And he uses a lot of words that high schoolers don't understand. That's why they've removed Shakespeare from high school curriculum. Like when I got there 10 years ago, they don't teach Shakespeare anymore. Which is, they don't teach the Odyssey anymore. Because they used to teach the Odyssey, epic poetry in 9th grade. And then they would teach, 10th graders would do Caesar. 9th grade did the Odyssey. 10th grade did Caesar. 11th grade seniors did Macbeth. What did 11th graders do? 9th graders also did Romeo and Juliet. But I don't know.
So what do they read now?
They give them, well, first of all, most of their English classes are no longer based on reading anything and understanding it and critically thinking. It's about writing analytical papers, writing like nonfiction papers. They read a lot of articles now, which that is not a bad skill to teach. But I think, but again, in this country, we do not value art. Like we do not think that literature and art and theater and music and we do not think that these are valuable things to have because they do not translate into more dollar signs. We need more welders, not more philosophers, Jimmy. So,
damn. I told this on here. I don't think you were on for this episode, but my old school district got rid of the library. They don't have libraries anymore. Like they're gone. Like just more classrooms. They just got rid of it. Whenever my friend, he teaches back there, he told me that. I was like, what? I was like, what do they do? And he's like, yeah, no one reads. I was like, this is insane. It's just weird to me because like, I mean, there were people who were way further into reading than I was in like high school and middle school. But I loved the library. Like, I mean, it was one of the fun periods for me. And like, I read Carl Duker, which he used to write like teen sports dramas. And I thought they were I cried in 7th grade English reading that book. You know, I think it was Heart of a Champion. The star pitcher for the high school team dies in a car accident. And I was like, no, PD, you know, I was losing my mind. But, yeah, there are no libraries at my old schools, which I just find to be not good.
It's madness. Aaron, I also like King John, for the record, Aaron.
So how do you feel about people who say that like things like Harry Potter and whatnot isn't really reading?
Okay, so I've had this discussion like on my videos before. And children reading anything is a net positive. So it is. So now I'm taking the other tack. Like I'm going to the other side where like I understand why, like I understand when people come out of school hating reading because they have to read Shakespeare and they have to read Dickens and they have to read all of these old classics that are not written in modern language that makes it easily understandable. And these kids are not going to put forth the effort because they don't understand why they should. And we don't do a good job on telling them why they should. So I don't understand why in our English classes, we do not allow them to read what they want because, and it has to be a book. Like magazines can be read. If kids read magazines or anime or like manga or like graphic novels, if they want to read that, that's fine. They can read that on their own time because if that's what they want to read, they already read on their own, right?
Yeah.
Random kids don't have that stuff. So pick a book. But if you want to read Percy Jackson because you're comfortable with the 6th grade reading level like of Percy Jackson, awesome. That's awesome. You want to read Harry Potter? Cool. You want to read Lord of the Rings for this class? Cool. Saying that there is nothing to learn from those books is stupid. In a literature class, you're learning to analyze a text. You can analyze Lord of the Rings the same way you can analyze Bleeding Great Expectations. You can analyze Jimmy, what's your book you're reading right now? You can analyze Prince of Fools The same way you can analyze Great Expectations. You can look for theme. You can look for, sentence structure, word choice. You can look for like flow, understandability, connectivity. Like, what is he trying to say? What are the big ideas? All of that can be done in fiction, like modern fiction. It doesn't have to be like, and it goes back to this pretension nonsense. Like, the academics who are so desperately trying to save the intellect of the country are also harming the effort to save the intellect of the country by being so flippin' stuffy. Does that make sense? Like, it sounds like I'm arguing both sides of the picket line.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I get it, because I feel like I'm a little bit on both sides of that picket line as well. I think what people discount is the gateway drug that might be Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or Game of Thrones or whatever it might be. It's gatekeeping at the end of the day. I mean, that's really what it is. But, for me, I started off reading, I read Rage of Dragons. I thought it was the most diesel thing I'd ever read. I was like, this is the shit. And now if I read it now, I probably would be like, yeah, I had a really good time reading that, and I'm glad I reread it. But like, you know what I mean?
When I ask my students, so right before my accident, I was literally in my boom, about to talk about ancient history. So I was in my lecture talking about I forget. Anyway, I was talking about I was talking like my principal walked in as I was talking about, I was using an example of like, so for example, if someone wanted to overthrow the principal, like, it would depend on what, like, the new government isn't necessarily better than the old one. Like, you would need to know what the policy is, because otherwise, if it's the same thing, why are you going to die to the last man to defend, whatever. Anyway, he walked in as that was happening. It was hilarious because, like, I literally had just talked to the principal and he walked in to observe me. And during that lesson, I was talking about how we got to the part where Alexander, while traveling with the army, he read every single day. Alexander read every single day. And I said, raise your hand if you read most days for fun, not for school, for fun. That's a class of 25 kids. Four of them raised their hand. And that's a pretty advanced class. If I were to ask my level ones, those are classes of 30. I bet it would still be 4 in a class of 30 or 3. And even when I ask my advanced kids why they don't like, I said, who here hates reading? Who here hates reading? And most of them will raise their hand. And I say, why? This is before they've heard my spiel. I always say why. And they're like, because like, we got to read boring stuff. It's always school related. It always has to do with the boring crap they have to read in school. It makes people hate reading. So yes, I'm not saying they shouldn't read Dickens and Shakespeare. I'm saying that shouldn't be all they have to read. Like, this is what bad teachers don't understand. If the student does not care, it doesn't matter how good the lesson is, how good the material is, how good anything is. So it doesn't matter if you're teaching them the secret and meaning of life in those books that you're making them read. If they do not give a crap, it is not going to transfer. They have to understand why they're doing what they're doing. They have to trust you and believe you that that's what you're doing. So letting them read something and getting a love of reading, like, I read most of what was required of me in high school, but I already had a love of reading, and I didn't come out of high school hating reading. I came out of high school hating the stuff I had to read, which is 2 separate things. For people who don't learn to read as a hobby coming into school, we are doing a disservice by creating people who don't like to read. Even if, let's say they're reading some modern fiction, like, let's say they're reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, which has no literary value that I can see. The fact that they read it, if it made them like reading and be like, oh, I like fantasy smut, I would roll my eyes and say, you should read something else. But even if the only gain is that they develop a desire to read in their free time afterwards. That is worth it. Like, that's worth it, because it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much Great Expectations or East of Eden or freaking Moby Dick. None of that matters. It doesn't matter. Like, if they don't care, they're not going to retain it. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So we should do both. I'm not saying we should have a literature course that's just Harry Potter and Twilight. Like, no. Like, no.
You know, it's interesting. Not to interject, but AP said that whenever he was teaching a class, he actually did teach Twilight because it was the thing that people had the most interest in at the time. And what he wanted them to take away from it was how to read it. And he was pointing out things that he felt like were problems with the book. But, you know, he did it. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, I think it's, you know, I don't like it. But they left that class being able to then read differently. And I think that is definitely like the right attitude to have. It's a little bit different. Probably whenever you're talking about like college level, because like they're paying to be there. So you're a little bit more subservient, maybe possibly to what they want.
And yeah, and it is slightly about the college level, like what Kay is saying. Like they had a really good, excellent English teacher in college, and that's fantastic, because hopefully that person is in college, teaching college, because that is his passion, and or her passion, whichever the professor was, and that is why, you know, that they were able to open your eyes. So yeah, it is partly teaching, but a good teacher has to know how to connect with their students, not say, okay, guys, so here's, like, this professor was able to connect with you, and then you cared what that professor had to say. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It's definitely concerning to me that, like, not just that they're not reading Shakespeare, like, regardless, it doesn't sound like they're reading anything.
Just look at how many. Just look, if, like, speaking of the difficult, like what Bro Dude guy is saying, reading stuff you're forced to. Think about how many people on BookTube don't do TBRs, because people don't like being held to like being forced to read something that they said they were going to read. That's like Time of Courage. Didn't enjoy it because I told people I was going to read it. It had been too long. I forced myself to read it. Didn't enjoy the experience. Like, reading, as I keep saying, you can read a book, hate it, read it. You could read it next year, love it, because there are so many variables. What's going on with your life, what's going on in your head at the time, what are the conditions surrounding. If I'm freezing, I'm enjoying that book less, guaranteed. Like which people you're talking to, like what you've heard about it, like all of these external and internal like variables affect the experience of reading the book. The book is not just words on a page. We cannot consume it like that. We cannot download the book into our freaking brain and have a completely neutral experience of the book. It can't be done. We have an experience of reading the book, not just the words on the page.
Yeah, definitely. The whole, you know, book reads you argument, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
And I'm sitting there arguing like you disagree with me. I'm just like impassioned about.
No, this is how you talk.
Reading, and it's how I talk.
Amanda wants to know what your feelings are towards book reports.
I think that is the only way to act. It's the only way to actively assess a bunch of different books that the teacher hasn't read. Because, like, by making them do that, because you can't. There is educational theory says that you should not assess, you know, or whatever. And like Philip always talks about how grades, like he wouldn't use grades if he didn't have to. And it's like, yeah, me either. But if you don't use grades, they will not do it. Like, they won't do it. Like, they won't. Like, I reached a level of transcendence in my job during this accident, because my students sat there for 2.5 weeks with nothing to do. My AP kids were spearheaded by both my Rachels and, shockingly, a kid who last year, I've taught him for 2 years prior to this, and he's just lazy, didn't do anything. But this kid is in 2 of my classes this year and is killing it. I love this kid. I'm like, Ryan, go. Nice. The three of them, and like the AP kids knew what they should have been working on, and they worked on it slowly. Some didn't work on it like they should have been, but whatever. But my other kids sat there and they did nothing because we were supposed to have presentations the Monday I got, like the Monday after my rec, you know, they've been working on projects or whatever. And the Latin ones don't know anything. I sat there and I could have stressed out about my job. That's what I usually do. I don't like not being at work. I don't like having kids have nothing to do, wasting time. And so I could have written practice for my Latin ones. And I could have done the same thing for my Latin twos, having them like practicing skills while I'm not there. And then I realized there was no point in doing that because they were not going to do it. Because when I'm gone for one day and they know I'm coming back the next day, they won't do what I left them with the sub. Like the last time, it was like literally a week before my accident, I'd taken a day off and I left an assignment. Out of 50 children in the level 1 classes, after 50 children, 18 did the assignment that I left with a sub. 18 of them. And I said, guess what, guys? Going to the grade book now. So that sucks. Wasn't a grade till right this second. Oh, well, do what I ask you to do. And it's not like it's the first time. And so I'm like, why would I stress myself out when I'm trying to recover? My wife and I are going through all this to give them work that they're not going to do. The kids who are going to do it don't need the practice. They're fine. The kids who aren't going to do it, like, there's no point. And so I reached a boundary in my work that I normally don't have. It's like, you know what? Like, I am not paid enough. I am literally in this hospital being paid because my colleagues are donating sick time. Because otherwise I'd sit here and be like, oh, guess I'll die, you know? So I don't owe this freaking school system like freaking out while I'm trying to recover from being struck by a car. And it's fine. And, you know, I'm going to be behind when I get back. It doesn't matter. I'm the only Latin teacher. What benchmark am I pushing them to? That they won't be prepared enough for the next level's teacher, which is me? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The wheel keeps turning no matter what happens, right?
For sure. So
do you feel like anything else has changed since your accident?
You mean like, do I have a new lease on life? Am I like,
not necessarily, but like,
I think it's obvious from our discussion that I'm still grumpy.
Yeah, but sometimes you come out of these things on the other end of it, and sometimes it takes a while, but like you just look at things differently. Like obviously that reaching that line with your job is a pretty big move.
Yeah. I mean, I need to spend more time with my wife. I definitely have realized that. I need to spend more time with my wife. I need to, I have become afraid of being in the car, which I don't love. But yeah, I mean, I am having to learn patience, which is, it's not a skill that I don't have. You know, everyone's like, I don't have any patience. Like, that's not true. I teach teenagers. You have to have some. But I have patience in my job with teenagers because I'm supposed to. I am not accustomed to not being able to have things the way that I want them as soon as I want them. Because as an independent adult, I can just make the thing that I want happen. If I am hungry, I will just go make food. You know what I mean? If I am cold, I will just get up and go turn the freaking air down. You know, I can't do those things anymore. Like, I can no longer manifest my will you know, just because. Now I have to wait and I have to rely. Like these books still ain't off this freaking floor with this dang bookshelf fixed. Would have taken me an hour if I could walk. So yeah, but I mean, you know, like I need to spend more time with my wife, like for sure. Like, you know, it also, I didn't stress out really about booktube till I got home. I was okay with like, well, I guess I'm not putting anything up for while I'm in this freaking hospital bed. But then I got home and I'm like, back to the grindstone. And it's just like, really, dude? Like, stop.
Yeah, I think everyone is, you know, fine with you taking time and doing your own thing. I mean, this is a hobby, right?
I have to hit 10K so that you and Philip will still talk to me.
I mean, you are running short on time.
I know.
Your 30-day trial's coming to an end, my friend. What did sorry, I wanted to ask you, what went through your head whenever you saw the outpouring of support from the community?
So that okay. So thank you for reminding me about the thing that I did actually have a new lease on. I forget my own feelings. Yeah. So prior to this, like, my kids don't listen to me at school. I have a job that society despises. I work all the time, and the fruits of my labor that I can continue to, like, yeah, but think of the impact you're having on the kids. So cool. So I, unlike everybody else in the world, work for an intangible reward 30 years down the road, while everyone else in the world works for tangible rewards that they get now. Right. Like, so that, oh, wow. Oh man, what a saint. I don't want to be a saint. I didn't go to work to be a martyr. Right. So I'm already feeling bad about that. I'm about to lose two of my really good kids. And all of my really good kids have been so involved in freaking college stuff that even they have, like, been dropping the ball on stuff. And it's just, I've seen distant and everything. And then online, like, it's like, I'm class of 2020. Yeah. Right. Me and Philip, class 2020. Are you class 2020?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're all class 2020, right?
Yeah.
And then, a bunch of new, like, booktube has become, it's different than it was when we started.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, sad that, like, I'm trying to do stuff for my patrons and trying to do stuff for my community. And then, like, Jimmy's reading 5 patron books in a month. And I'm like, cool, I can't read 1 in 5 months. And it's like, and everyone just seems to be able to do all this stuff that I can't do. And I'm like, when I remember when I had a big community that was growing, and now I just can't even seem to get a freaking video out. And so I'm just depressed about my relevancy and place in the world. And not like that I didn't know that you and I weren't friends, and that I'm important to my wife, and, all this stuff. But when this happened, it is impossible for me to have predicted the outpouring of support. There is no way in a million years I would have thought that many people gave a crap, and that many people came and told me and Christina what an impact we had on their, just enjoyment of the internet. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to have changed their lives to be like, like, so many people telling me, like, how good we were for the community, and and people's generosity has been insane. And even people, like, I didn't think anyone at my job liked me, because I don't leave my room, and the only thing I ever have to say is at meetings, and it's always slightly aggressive because it's about a dumb policy that I don't know why we have to follow. And so I don't really know anybody at school. I know a couple people. Most people have left. And so the fact that so many people donated leave to me so I didn't have to miss a paycheck, and the fact that my principal literally said, you're not going to miss a paycheck. Like, and I learned this when I went to the school. Did I tell you I went to school?
No.
Oh, so I needed to feel normal. This was the day after my breakdown. I needed to feel normal. So I went up to the school basically to go, like, my advanced kids, to scare them, to be like, hey, so I hope you've used these 2 weeks. We went up there, and, I got the mine shaft elevator key and rolled in there, and I stood at my walker, and I taught AP for 80 minutes because it was an exam day. And I stood at my walker and I taught my class for 80 minutes, and it felt so good just to be freaking normal. Like, I was running out of breath a lot because I'm standing for 80 minutes on one foot. But it felt so normal, and the kids were so happy, to see me. And so just like, and then all the kids, like, who then, came by and donated stuff and brought me a card. And it was just, and then the video, the get well video that so many people sent clips for, even people that don't have channels, like subscribers. Like, Christine and I both cried during that video. Like, it's absolutely, like, I cannot help that I have self-loathing, depression, and imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome was something you used to be able to say and have it mean something. It's one of those words. I don't know if you remember like 10, 15 years ago where everyone was OCD, like, oh my gosh, my OCD. I don't know if you remember those days. It's not so bad anymore. ADD has been the most recent one. Oh my gosh, my ADD. No, you just focus on things. Like you just flit your attention. It's not the same thing. But like when I'm around other Latin teachers, like I always am afraid of losing friends because I tend to do really well at the beginning of relationships. And then when it gets really exhausting, because it's not that I'm not being me, it's that I'm not being completely me, because that tends to be off-putting, as you saw in Leanna's thing yesterday, where people who don't know me, like I'm off-putting to them because they don't realize that that I don't mean anything with malice. Like I don't, like, you know what I mean? Because it gets exhausting. And so when I'm doing these things and I see, you know, like you and Philip and Joanna and you know, Alex and Theo and just everybody doing reviews and stuff, and I'm just like, I have overstayed my welcome to where people are now seeing past the smoke and mirrors. Like in my mind, I think of myself as a magician, and I present a very certain kind of act that people like. And the longer it goes, the more like literal anxiety and depression I get, that in any day now, I'm going to say something. And this is part of why it takes me so long to get a video out. I'm going to put up a video because at the beginning, I don't care. Like I'm brave and like I'm just like, I'm adjusting to this. And it's just like, yes, I'm excited. But then it's because I don't have anything. There's nothing to lose. But now that I've built a community, now there's something to lose. So now any day I'm going to come out with a video and everyone's going to realize that everything I said doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Who is this snake oil salesman? It's time to run him out of town on a rail, like the freaking guy from Pete's Dragon, the Passamaquoddy guy. And it's the same thing at work. It has been so hard because, so for example, my girl got into Yale on a full ride. Wow. Brilliant. And she, you know, she competed on the national quiz bowl team. She knows more about Roman history than I do now. And that's because I don't specialize in that to compete on the national Kurtaman team. And I don't have time to become that kind of an expert fast. You know what I mean? Like eventually I will know all that stuff but she doesn't know more than me about Greek history, Roman culture, mythology, any of that stuff. But it's just a real weird place for me because it feeds that, where the students, when they first come to me, they don't know anything. So they think that they think that I'm a good teacher because of how much I know. But eventually, the longer they stay with me, it's just a crippling self-loathing fear that they're going to realize that I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And that I'm just up there. And that for them walking away from high school being like, man, I used to think Mr. Walker was, and now he's an idiot. And so it's like that every time I have to hang out with other Latin teachers who all have PhDs and, you know, classics degrees and teach at fancy private schools. And, you know, here I am. I don't act any different there. I talk like this, like I probably not quite as aggressive, but I still am really excitable. And none of them are. They're all very like, they tell the worst, like just the worst classics jokes. And they all go, like with a brandy snifter. It's just so I can't help that I feel that way. I really wish I didn't. Like, I really wish I didn't. And sorry that this has become what it's become. Like,
No, this is
I think I
important.
forgot we were live, and I thought I was just talking to you. I think I forgot. But it has been so, and it's not like I think people like the act better than me. It's just a thing where the longer I am in a community or in a relationship with people, and not like a romantic, like just relationships with people, the more I think people are going to find out that the tonic I'm selling doesn't really grow back hair. And you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so what that's meant for me in my life is I have kept like a very small group of people who know who I am and like understand and are fine. And I could, like they're fine. But it's why I flip from job to job. It's why I flip from friend group to friend group. I have to I have to move the wagon to a new town
Yeah.
eventually. And it was even worse when I was a bad person, because then I pretended that I wasn't a bad person, and I was. I didn't mean to be. I just didn't know that I was not a good person. Like, hey, you shouldn't treat people like that. I'm like, what? Anyway, sorry, all y'all sitting
No,
here.
don't be sorry. Alex says that he thinks it means that you're just a really good teacher and you've done a fantastic job and you made learning fun for your students. I'm sure they're thankful for that. And I do think it's a hallmark of a good teacher whenever they leave empowered. And clearly you have given them that that ability.
Yeah.
And David Sloan, thank you for the 5 spot. Appreciate it. He says, wishing you and Christina all the best in recovery. Thank you and Jimmy Butts for all the great chats. Love you guys. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, David. Thank you so much. I actually can't tell you how much I relate to that. I have always felt the need to leave before I wear out my welcome.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I know what you mean. Like when the glitz and the glamour is kind of gone and people get used to you and the veil's pulled back a bit, you kind of lose a little bit of that magic.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I struggle with that a lot, especially when with wrestling, I was traveling all the time. So I was never in the same place very long. And I got really good at that first 10%. Like it's kind of like what people are saying about Red Sister. It's like I really got that opening page down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I always felt like the rest fall apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And part of it is like, it's so easy meeting new people because there's always new stuff to talk about. I am not like, I know chatting with nuts is not a good indicator of conversational ability. Like I am not good. No. We just have a lot. We talk naturally back and forth. Everyone is not a good conversationalist all the time. And I am one of those people who is not. If I do not have anything in common with someone, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to engage most people with in conversation. Oh, do you read fantasy books? You don't? Are you interested in Greek and Roman history? Oh, you're not. What about history in general? The Civil War? Dang it. Let's go with that. I don't know much about that, but that's at least related to something. Like, what about sports game that was on over the? No, I don't know about that. Like, I have an Auburn hat. I do because my wife went there and I support. That quarterback's name is doing real good this year. I don't know who that is. I don't know that quarterback's name. Like, I am not good at conversation that can't flow and bounce off of stuff. Anyway,
see, I've always been good at that.
I believe it. Like you hosting this freaking, you have to, because every guest you got on here is not as fluent in the conversational genre as I am.
What I can relate to though is that I always feel like I don't fit in, and I'm not saying that as like a pity party thing, but I've never felt that sense of belonging that made me want to stay somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with like me being insecure. I think that is it. I'll tell you this, man, I go to jiu-jitsu, a lot. I'm there all the time. And there are so many people at my gym and they like want to hang out and they want to be friends, and I just like can't do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like an ass sometimes.
Mhm.
But there is something about me where I just feel like the connection there is so superficial and forced. Like we were there for the same reasons. You know what I mean? And man, I don't know how to describe it. And it might be the fact that I use distance as a defense mechanism,
For sure.
but I have really struggled with that lately. Like I have people who really want to get to know me and do want to talk to me, and I just I struggle really bad with letting people do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I I completely understand. Like, and it's just, and the thing, like, I mean, it's insecurity, and I mean, I know that I have crippling insecurity, and I don't know why. I'm sure we can trace it back if we want to, but it's just like I just don't feel like anything's good enough, and everyone's better than me at stuff. And the thing is, my wife also has trouble thinking that people like her, and it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, because my wife is the most likable person that I've ever met. Christina, she is a master at talking to people about, like, it is so weird interacting with her family, what I love doing, and my family that I don't love doing. I love my family, but we never have anything to talk about. Her family is talking constantly because they literally tell each other everything from the most minute detail. Oh, well, we waited like for 10 minutes at Subway to get lunch, and and it was cold in there. And like, she's always like bragging on me too, to her parents, who I love. I love her parents, but I'm always embarrassed. Like, because I would never talk about these things with my parents. You know what I mean? Because my parents wouldn't care. Or my mom will care, but cares like so much that it's not real. Like, my mom is like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so, and it's not that my parents don't care about me. It's just we relate differently. And so, Christina, I've never seen anyone able to talk to strangers and like ask about like what they do and what they like and their day and stuff. And it's because Christina genuinely cares about the answer to those questions. The reason that most people don't like small talk, and the reason it's called small talk, is because really no one cares about the answers to those questions. Really, you're just saying something to fill the void. I know that is with me. I'm bad at it. The reason I can't talk about the weather is because I do not care. I want to be able to talk about your kids' little league team. I do, but I don't care. I don't. And I understand that that's hypocritical, because there are very few who, when I start talking about Philip of Macedon, are like, I really care about this. Like, are you kidding me? I'm in the wrong. Like, more people care about the Little League team than what I have to say, but it's just so hard. Like, it's so hard. Like, I can't make myself care about it. And so that's why it's really uncomfortable. And it's not like I don't care about the person. Like, I don't hate you. I just don't know what to say to you.
On the flip side of that, have you ever someone's been like, "Oh, you're reading. I heard you read. What do you read?" And then you answer with way too much enthusiasm and in-depth details, and then you feel like you've overexposed yourself?
When I was young, I don't do that anymore.
I
What are you
st- I
reading?
st-
I say it's a, like, they asked me that so much in rehab. I said it's a historical fiction, and it wasn't. I was literally reading Savages by KJ Parker. I had no way to explain that, so I said a historical fiction because I knew that was boring, and I knew they wouldn't ask me anything else.
I wish I could do that. My enthusiasm pours over, and then I feel dumb. Like I shouldn't have.
Jimmy, that so you have touched on what is the hardest thing for me, and this feeds into why I have the problem that I do. So when I'm first meeting people, I'm much more careful about controlling my autism, and by that I mean masking it to where I don't like launch into whatever
Tirades.
Yeah, or just really impassioned discussions about whatever, like we're doing with reading earlier. But the problem is in the past, I have let my guard down because I thought I was comfortable. Like, I thought I had developed a comfortable relationship with these people.
Yep.
And so I let it down, and I had like not a mad one, like an excitable tirade, only to find out that I offended someone. They hate me now. Like they like think I'm whatever. Like okay, so I'm dating this girl in Connecticut, and I moved
now.
No, I'm moving to Connecticut, right? This is when I was 21 or so. I moved to Connecticut. You know, her parents are from Massachusetts, whatever. And so I'm already really nervous. I don't know these people. They don't like me. They don't like my decision making, whatever. It's fine. I was an idiot back then too. But it's fine. But they invited me to Thanksgiving, right? And I'm in Connecticut. Everyone I know lives in Florida. And so I go there, and like it's fine. And like I thought like everyone's being really nice, and I thought we had this really good relationship or whatever. And someone says, talks about Finding Nemo, mentions Finding Nemo. And I, because of just the nature of the conversation that had been going on, went into like I think Finding Nemo is is really like one of the, it's when part of the era of Pixar where things got like less intelligent, because like I was like, compare the jokes in Toy Story versus Finding Nemo, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go touch the butt, and I'm like, come on, like I think there was more cerebral stuff in Toy Story than in, and I thought we were having like, and everyone's like laughing and stuff. We're having a good conversation about the merit of various Pixar movies. I go home the next day, or like I went home, she stayed there for the weekend or whatever. She comes back and says, "You're not invited to Christmas."
You got disinvited to Christmas over Finding Nemo?
That's what I said.
What?
I'm like, what? They're like, they think you're rude and they don't like you, and I'm like, so I'm going to spend Christmas in Connecticut by myself then, because I don't literally know anyone here. Oh, well. And then, anyway, it didn't matter. Like 3 months later, we went down to Florida for spring break and drove back up because my car had died. So drove back up, took the new car back up to Connecticut, and then we got back. She goes home the next weekend, but she has to take her car. Like she has to take my car because her car was broken, or her parents didn't want her to drive it, so she could hang out with me, whatever. She took my car home. She calls me from Massachusetts and breaks up with me. And I'm like, can I have my car back? Like, can you bring my car? She also is the reason I no longer own the first copies of Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings that I owned, because she had those and didn't give them back.
I don't like her.
I don't like her either, because then her parents proceeded to write the nastiest letter to my mother about me. They wrote and sent it to my mom. My mom still has never let me read it. She has never let me read what it says. And
who writes a letter to someone's parents?
People from Massachusetts who are cheating on each other but stay together because they think that's what they're supposed to do.
Wait. If you were 12, I would understand. Like, you know, Timothy came over and kicked her in the shin.
And the thing is, I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't do anything.
Even if you did.
I know. Anyway,
those people post on Facebook all the time, guaranteed.
100%.
Could you even imagine?
And it's all about their freaking perfect family too, which like y'all hate each other. Like y'all literally hate each other. You freaking fake, like you fake nouveau riche bougie hypocrites. Like, like I despise, because they are the fakest people I have ever met in my life. So if you ever hear me say that I hate Massachusetts, it's because of that. But I didn't realize I had Asperger's, and it was just another thing. It was just another nail in the coffin of like, I guess I don't know how to act in real life, you know? And so that is about where I turned mean after that. I went home and I became mean. And that began my decade of cruelty. So, man, we're learning a lot tonight. You got to take this stream off the air. You can't, like, you got to delete this part, all this part about all this nonsense.
You know, whenever YouTube tells you most replayed, it'll be right, it'll be right here.
F. Well, if they ever see it, it's like, well, everything I said is true. Like, I realize I was irresponsible. I will cop to having been. I was irresponsible till I was 30 years old. And I still make irresponsible decisions every now and then. But I didn't do anything. So.
Well, you didn't deserve it. I mean.
Jack weasels. They're so stupid. Like, here's what they're mad about is me and my girlfriend I wanted to drive from Connecticut or Massachusetts to Pennsylvania to see my buddy Finn, my best friend Finn at UPenn. And they were like, we don't think that's a good idea because, you know, you shouldn't spend the money doing that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that though. And from that moment on, done, because I did not.
You did not abide by what they wanted you to do.
Correct. I'm like,
because
okay,
you're an adult. I'm
like, I understand what you're saying. I'm still going to go see my friend because it's his birthday. Like, whatever, like, seriously. And that was the beginning of the end.
It is amazing. I have found as an adult, how many people's leash with being nice to you, it only extends as far as you're willing to listen to them and to do what they want you to do.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, and sometimes, and I struggle with this with my students. I really struggle when my students don't listen to me, but I'm not their boss. Like, I'm not their parent. You know what I mean? But like, it really, it damages me. Like, I get sad when I have taught them for 4 years, and for 4 years they have listened to the lessons that I am teaching them that are run so counter to the way that people are supposed to act, right? And then their first semester in college, I look at like their Instagrams or hear something and whatever, and I'm like, cool. None of it mattered. None of it. And that's not true, but I take it so personally because, you know, like, I want to be Mr. Feeney, where they believe they call back to that. I want to be one of the teachers in media that they remember, they recall it and like, oh, I made now. But every now and then people send me stuff like, hey, Mr. Walker, so I was about to do this thing, and then I thought to myself, Mr. Walker would be mad at me if I did this, and I didn't do it. And I'm like, good for you. And that always makes me happy. So
yeah, I mean, and that makes it worth it in a way. I mean, I know you deal with a lot of other stuff, but I mean, in the sense that you made a difference, Yeah,
for sure. Sorry, I'm reading the comments now after that horrible story. My villain arc did begin with Nemo the clownfish. Ridiculous. I've never seen anything like. To this day, I don't understand what their freaking problem was about that freaking conversation.
It's so fun. I mean, it's funny, but it's also super petty and crappy.
So stupid.
But I liked what Kai said. He said, look at Alan acting like Neo in Matrix, dodging that bullet. That's a really good comment.
I dodged a lot of bullets in my career of dating. And now I'm with the most wonderful one in the entire world, who still, for some reason, thinks that people don't. And I hope she doesn't get mad at me for sharing this, because it's not super personal, but it's like I just want everybody to understand like how wonderful my wife is. But she thinks that she's not interesting, and so that people don't really like her or like want to spend time with her. And I every time she says, I'm like, what are you talking about? She just doesn't think she's interesting. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, that's not true. So we all have our insecurities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyway, if y'all have ever seen my wife on these streams or like in a channel,
she's
wife,
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you get to meet my wife, Jimmy? Or she?
No,
Yeah, she came to breakfast the next day. She wasn't there the first night. That's right. Yeah. It was the first night, because I was like, there's one time she wasn't there.
Yeah,
that
was wonderful.
The night. Yeah. So So hey guys, what up? Come tune in for the books, stay for the therapy.
Well, I do think it is relatable.
Is it hashtag relatable?
I think it's hashtag built different. Every time someone says they're built different, I want to stab them. It's like, no, look, inside of you, same shit. It's the same shit. Not
Jimmy,
built different.
So, do you have anything to add on that, or can we go back to books?
We can go back to books.
Tell me about some of your plans for 2023.
Well,
actually, I want you to pause that because I have to pee and I would miss it. Like, I know you could just like talk about it while I was gone, but I asked the question, so I actually want to hear the answer. 1 second. Be right back. If I can wheel out of here.
Hate to see him go, but love to watch him leave. Hello, Angela from the Literature Science Alliance, which sounds like a superhero brigade. Alan has not read Perdido Street Station. I think Alan might be built different after his car accident. I think they might add some stuff to him. I don't think Alan would like Perdido Street Station. I think it's a little too grimy for him. I don't think he would enjoy it. The only thing that's built different is my cat Absolute Unit. Fair. BookTube's new slogan, came for books, stayed for therapy. Yeah, we like to do this a little later in the podcast because we weed out all the people who are, just stopping in. This is for all of you late night listeners. A little nuts after dark. We're going to have to do a little nuts after dark. Actually, here, I can test this out. What do you guys think of this? For like whenever I do solo chatting with nuts, where I'm just talking to y'all in the chat, I'm going to do it like this. It's going to be nuts after dark, where we get super personal. And by that, I mean, people ask me if I've read Book of the New Sun for the 80th millionth time. That's the best part about reading Book of the New Sun is I can finally say yes to that question. Also, shout out. There was a commenter about 2 some years ago. I think they ended up deleting the comment that made fun of me in my Dragonbone chair review for saying Tad, referring to Tad Williams as Tad during my interview. And it was like, oh, what are you, friends with the author? Well, in fact, now I am. Suck it. That's just me being petty. Shirtless, though. Nutting with Alan is back on the menu, boys. Gene Wolfe. Yeah, it's a Alan entering his RoboCop era. Alan is okay. He was hit by a car at 80 miles an hour while he was riding in a car, and but somehow he made it through. Did you, Jimmy, ever have injuries people had to help you out after? I had 2 broken arms, once at the same. What? How did you break both your arms? Getting help putting on clothes teaches you new humility. Yeah, when I knew I was going to marry my wife was after my knee injury, because I don't know why she put up with it. Like, she could have been like, your aspiring wrestling career has come to a screeching halt, and now you're just mean. And I realized that I needed to quit being such a selfish ass. And it was a big turning point for me. And then there was multiple times where I had really bad concussions, but that was a little bit earlier in my career. Things where if there hadn't been good dudes in the locker room and stuff, I don't know what I would have done. So sometimes you need a little help from my friends. Nuts after dark. Love that petty energy. You damn right. Being petty is like one of the small victories we get to celebrate in life. We gotta take advantage of it, right? Alan did it. He broke his ribs and his pelvis and his will to read books.
You know they're already broken. Sorry, it takes forever now. I can't just dash in there and come back like right away. And I foolishly did not bring my urinal. You
didn't bring a pee jug?
No, but I've debated keeping it after I'm well. Christina's like, I'm not emptying it if that's the case. I'm like, that's fair.
I was a fan of the pee jug when I had my knee surgery, and then after about a week, it became so demoralizing to use that I was like, I never want to see this thing again. Yeah, so I flipped.
I don't use it unless I'm like on the other side of the house from the bathroom, and I have to use the bathroom really bad, or I'm like, in a position that would require someone to help me up, and I'm like, this is easier if I just use it here.
Diego, paperbacks do have really bad quality issues in the United States.
Christina, she just brought me some water, and she's like, "Are you talking about your pee cup?"
You're embarrassing me in front of all my friends.
You want to say hey? She does not want to say hey. Why not?
Christina, you are super interesting and lovely.
She's in her pajamas. See? You hear that? Everyone thinks you're super interesting and lovely.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
Hold on. Hold on. Keep going. Oh, hold on. Here it is. Hold on.
People were very impressed with how fast you urinated. Wait, you had Perdido?
Yeah, I've had it for a while.
You're never going to read that.
Maybe. Well, one, it has deckled edges, which I despise. Two, it just seems so grimy.
Like, that's what I said.
Is it really?
I said it's too grimy for you.
It just seems so.
Do I not know you? See, I'm not recommending you every book, Alan.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think there's a chance I could like it. It just it might be too.
Dude, you're gonna hate it.
It might be too Cyberpunk 2077 for me. Which
there's bird people.
I mean, that's okay. So, like, the fewer races are in a fantasy book, like the fewer like weird like bird people, bird people, elves, dog people, like the fewer of those magical races that are in a fantasy book, the more likely I am to enjoy it. It's like I don't have like when I play D&D, the same people, like I've had the same group for forever. I finally am like, guess what, guys, you're all human. Sorry, I'm not dealing with your stuff. You're all human. And they're like, but I want to be an Aarakocra. I'm like, you're not playing a bird person. You're a human. Well, can I be an elf? No, you're a human. Sorry. I want to be a dragon.
Elves?
You're a human.
You like elves?
Elves are the worst. D&D elves are the worst. They've always been the worst. D&D elves are literally the ones that tell you're stupid because you don't understand Blood Meridian. Like that's
that's actually true. That is true. Yeah. Because Joanna's an elf, actually.
You said it, not me.
So Key says that it's very political and is all about the working class being oppressed.
So I might like what it's about. It's just a matter of like if the packaging is Pan Am is life. Did you just quote Hunger Games? The like the packaging sometimes may be too like there was an old SNL skit with like this guy named Pat, and the whole thing was like, is it a girl or a guy? It doesn't matter. Pat should talk like this, and the only thing I get from it is they always used to do this. That's my thing for like, it's just yucky. Like it's just a yucky thing. So I mean, not every like, and the thing is, even grimy is not necessarily a thing. Like some of Parker's things are like,
it's really grimy.
Is it?
Yeah, not grim, grimy.
How much is there? A bunch of doing it in it?
No, not really.
Okay, that's cool.
No, it's like grimy, like the world's grimy, like everything's dirty and like kind of like gross.
I don't like. I drove down one of the main thoroughfares of our city coming back from our doctor's appointment yesterday, and I'm like, why is our city so gross? Like, I don't. Why is everything gotta be so grimy? Like, I don't like, why is this? Ugh, why don't you fix this road and like the stuff on it? So it's just, I don't know. I think I'm like weird when it comes to like gross worlds.
Yeah, I don't know if you would like Perdido Street Station. Lived in would be a better phrase. So I might not be giving it its due for you, but I don't know if I would count you as someone who would like it. You asked me about my plans for the next.
Yeah, do it, and then we can let people go.
So instead of saying exactly what I'm reading and all that stuff, I'll tell you what videos I'm going to do.
Cool.
So I'm leaving this weekend. I'm going to go do some stuff. And when I get back, I'm going to be doing my top 10 books of the year plus year-end awards video. Supposed to be one video, but I don't know how long that's going to end up being. So we'll have to see. I've
long wanted to do like an end of year awards thing, but by the time I like get around to wanting to do it, I see a bunch of booktubers already being like, so I want to do like an end of the year. And I'm like, you know me, I can't be seen like I'm copying somebody.
Yeah, see, I love year-end awards. I don't care.
Too.
It's like my favorite thing.
Like I love the Dundies, that first episode of season 2 of The Office, because I love stupid awards. Like I've always loved like, you know, most likely to name his book after something you find in the tool shed. You know, KJ Parker. Obviously, you knew who was getting that one. Do not call them that, Jimmy.
I am calling them the Nutties this year, actually. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh my God.
Also, some Okie dude asked, "Have you two met Daniel Green?" I have not.
I've never met him.
No. He likes One Piece. That's why you started reading One Piece, right?
Jimmy, you know that's not true. I've been reading One Piece for 20 years, and you know it.
You don't make videos about it. I can't believe you. So
that's true. Well, it's because I haven't really finished. I'm close to finishing. I actually finished the anime while I was in rehab. For the first time in 20 years, I am caught up with the anime. And
wow.
So, yeah, and so my brother sent where he reads the manga so I can catch up, because I've never read the manga. Never. I've never read one issue of the manga before the issue picking up after the anime. And I'm only doing that because my brother really wants to talk to me about it. And so I'm going to catch up with him, and then I'll just watch them as they come out. But I'm going to catch up in the manga with him. But I like anime better than manga, just personally. And I know that's a weird take. But for me, like, I always prefer anime. I just think the voice acting adds a lot.
What are you doing? All right, so I'm doing the Nutties next week, sometime midweek, and then I think this is the last Chatting with Nuts of 2022. I think this is the last one, but
this is the last Chatting with Nuts
this year.
Oh, like ever?
But don't quote me, but there's a chance that I might do something on New Year's Eve, but it's not confirmed yet. I'm not sure what that might be, but one thing I am going to do, and this could be what I do on New Year's Eve, is I'm going to do a live stream where I tier rank every single book I read in 2022, which is a lot. Nice. So it might take 4 hours, but I'm going to tier rank every single book in a live stream.
I'm gonna do a live stream opposite yours. I also always want to do a live stream on New Year's Eve, and then like there's like 12 other booktubers doing the same thing.
I was going to ask you if you and Christina were busy, because I thought about having bringing Kelsey on, and then you bring Christina and we do like a double date.
That would be fun. Let's do that.
I mean, I didn't know if you had plans, but that was.
Yeah, I have to ask her if she's got plans with her family, but her family tends to go to bed before midnight, so probably not.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
That'd be so fun.
We do a double date New Year's Eve streamathon.
That'd be so fun. And then 2023 is the year of Alan and Jimmy talk about stuff on a podcast to access that sweet podcast
revenue
loot.
The loot crate. What else do I have to do? I was thinking about making a manga a year of like my first year in like manga review, but I don't know how much people want to see that, because manga is my least viewed stuff, and it's not even close. Yeah. Like no one I mean, the thing is that people who watch those videos are awesome because they love it. Like they really love it. So that's one I would like to do. And what other ideas? So I already did the author. So I need to do the top 8 books I'm going to read in 2023. And then the big video that I'm going to do is series that I am continuing and series that I am DNFing, because I'm in middle of like 13 series and somebody of them got to go. So I'm going to be brutal with that. And that's probably the closest you ever see me to making like a negative video.
Yeah. I don't read, like, the thing is, I don't read enough to read enough disappointing books. Like, I have like 2 books that were disappointing this year. One of them is Lion of Macedon, which should be treated with the scorn it deserves. like another one. Like I guess I just don't read enough to read bad books, or I just am kind of in tune with what I like. And everyone mentions doing a live on New Year's Eve. Literally, it's every year. This is my 3rd New Year's Eve doing this. Everyone always, wait, hold on. What was that? What did I say? Something I wish I was comfortable with doing anything is that. Oh, yeah, I guess because I'm literally sitting here, like, we're having a conversation. I'm just playing on my Graboid. I don't even realize I'm doing it. Yes. You said something that tricked. Oh, I think for Christmas I'm getting the first issue of Vagabond.
Ooh.
Because I saw Amazon hadn't restocked freaking finally. So we should read Vagabond because I'd love to talk about manga. Since you and Sarah Reeds ditched me on Monster.
What do you mean ditched you? We haven't even done a stream for it yet.
Well, I mean, I've seen all of Monster, and y'all haven't talked to me about it once.
I mean, we'll do a retrospect on the whole series.
Okay, we should read Vagabond and talk about it. Weren't you reading Vagabond next?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
But with who? Who are you reading it with?
My buddy Andrew, but we can read it together.
That's right. That's right. Oh,
he's a big fan of yours.
I thought you were about to say I'm reading it with Philip, and I'd be like, Jimmy.
Philip doesn't read manga with me.
No, didn't he introduce you to Vinland Saga?
Yeah, he did actually. He said this would be great, and I said, I don't know. It's not really my thing, So that's what I got. The video I'm most sad about though is to finally like sit down and go, okay, here are all the series I started this year, and which ones are getting the axe, which ones am I going to actually continue? Because I think the first half of 2023 is me just finishing stuff, which is exciting, but also it's fun to start new stuff. So I got to figure it out, balance it out, and then I got to make sure that the new authors I'm reading for the first time and my whatever top 8 books that I.
So I have your thing in my watch later, but I haven't watched it yet. Give me a couple authors you're going to read for the first time.
First time, Octavia Butler is on that list.
Nice.
Philip K. Dick is on that list.
I knew that one because someone referenced that earlier.
And then another one would be Lois McMaster Bujold.
Dude, I have been told by Zara and Jake. I've been told by people I trust that Curse of Chalion.
That's what I'm going to start with.
It's going like that. I will love it. Like, and I know that when people tell me that I'm going to love something, like I don't want to listen to them. But Zara is my KJ Parker reader. So like if Zara tells me I'll love it, then I probably will. So yeah, I definitely want to read Curse of Chalion this year. I have her space thing is one of my patron picks. Like, so I got to read that. It's really short, it's like 250 pages. But Curse of Chalion is the one that I'm really excited of reading because I was told that it was quite good by both Jake and Zara. Zara was like a new favorite of hers. And I was like, yes, Zara.
Yeah, that's the one I'm feeling most confident about that I'm going to read for the first time that I think I'll really love.
Word. Well, if you end up getting into it before me, let me know.
If I do, then you won't read it. So
no, what I'm saying is if you weigh into it also and it's a three-peat, then I mean I don't know if I can avoid that. The thing is, I've been told to read Lies a Lot More long before you told me to read it. So that's it. That has nothing to do with you and everything to do with like y'all shut up about Lock on Mora.
Fantastic. Well, Alan, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad to see you in better spirits, and we love you, man.
Love you guys too. Sorry that got like that's a bizarre turn this thing took for about like however long that was. That was surreal. That was so weird. Sorry, y'all, if y'all did not tune in to hear Alan and Jimmy lay on opposite couches and and talk about
Alan's head in my lap as I play with his hair. It's like it's that kind of deal.
I mean, I had us on separate couches, seeing a shrink.
Nah, I want you close to me.
You have us laying like this, like I don't know how I'd do it.
I want to be your graboid. I don't even know what that means. It just sounds provocative.
It means I would say, Jimmy, hand me that, and you would hand it to me. That is the equivalent of that. And you would just do this in the. Yeah.
Hey Kaiju, thank you so much for the 5-spot super sticker, and thanks for everyone who did super stickers and super chats. Always appreciate all of y'all. Someone said, "Who's spooning who?" My God, this is taking. Oh, Alan, real quick, what do you think of this? Nuts After Dark.
I mean, I like it, but what do you do? What's it for?
Well, whenever I do Chatting with Nuts by myself and just do a Q&A, I call it Nuts After Dark.
I like it.
Kev gave me that name.
So hold on, what do you have? What is that light you got?
It's a light? I don't know. It's a stage light. It's like 6 feet tall. I got two of them. I got one here. I got one here.
Jimmy, that answer was actually too specific. So I'm going to need you to be more vague the next time I ask it. So that was too specific. I'm looking for a vaguer answer.
It's a box light.
Why did it turn purple?
Huh? It didn't.
Oh, I have one of those. Where's the purple light? I'm looking for the purple one.
Behind me. I bought outside LED lights.
You did?
Yeah, they're way too strong.
Can you send me what mic clamp you have? Oh, sorry. Is your camera clamped onto is it clamped onto your desk?
No, it is on a tripod behind my desk.
Cool. Mine too now. Can you send me what mic clamp you're using?
Yeah.
I look at mic clamps. I'm like, I don't understand this crap.
Yeah, of course I can.
Word. Are you using a Sony 6400?
No, I wish. I'm using the M50.
The Canon?
Yeah, Canon M50.
That's a good camera.
Yeah, but I'd rather have the Sony for various reasons.
Yeah, I just
been a nightmare.
What?
It's been a nightmare.
The Canon?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. If cameras weren't so damn expensive, I would have bought
flipping expensive.
Yeah, I'm still in the hole with running a channel.
No, we're not calling it that. Stop. We're not. Leanna's still here?
Dude, everyone's still here. By the way, we set a viewer record tonight. We were over 200, I believe, for the very first time. So
are you serious?
Give yourself a round of applause. On a Wednesday, we broke the viewer record.
With people talking about their insecurities?
Insane.
That must make gripping television.
Ruth and Bad, the legend, says, got excited when I heard a clamp discussion, realized it was just for the mic. Ruth and Bad is a legend. Ruth and
Bad got the best Malazan takes around.
Dude, Ruth and Bad is we don't deserve Ruth and Bad.
We did not. We did not.
Goat. Steven Erickson was in awe when he met Ruth and Bad.
He's literally my only ally in the Toll the Hounds is not a good book fight. Like my only one. It's not a great book.
Therapy draws a crowd, apparently, says Caesar.
Bobby B is frowning at you currently. Huh, look what Gorilla said. I love how Alan's facial expression at all times is one of anger and confusion. That's accurate. But it's always cheerful anger and good-natured confusion.
Yeah, it's endearing.
I mean, dang, show me the different color lights, Jimmy.
Oh my God. All right.
I didn't say it. Amanda's screaming it. Dang.
I have two, so I gotta like.
That's Christmas. Keep that up, Christmas.
And we got blue. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm turning it back. All right, folks. I have so much work to do over the next 2 days that I can't even imagine enjoying Christmas right now. So
hey, guess what? I said I was going to have a video out tomorrow. I lied. I'm glad I didn't vow that because it's freaking 11 o'clock. I ain't made no video tonight.
I love this. Whitney says, here I am once again, not a fantasy reader, but a fan of Jimmy Nuts and Alan's rants. Love when they live stream. Well, I'm glad you're here. And maybe, hey, check out a fantasy book. Maybe, I don't know if you want to or not. It doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're here. That makes me happy. The reach is
boy who stole too much.
Get to it.
I wonder if part 3 is going to be called Lundensister.
I like the wolf.
Ambition. I like the wolf also. I think it was an excellent novel. Second touch at the teeth show? What is second touch at the teeth show?
Wait, what book is this?
Loch Lamora, chapter 2. Second.
Are you reading it right?
I'm chapter 3. Imaginary Men.
All right, folks.
4, the last mistake, but not all caps like the other chapters are.
This is off the rails. We're going off the rails. He's going to DNF it live on the show.
Look,
I can't have
this. Locke didn't find it particularly easy to eat lunch while watching a dozen swimming men being pulled apart by Jareshti devilfish.
You are ruining the book. Stop it.
Stop it, Alan.
Stop it, Alan.
The boy who cried for a corpse. What a wuss.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh, I thought you took us off. I thought we were offline. Whoops.
If you're watching this, thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone in chat.
Gene Tannen.
I hope you all have a wonderful holiday
Gene Tannen.
and whatever you celebrate. I hope that it brings you and your loved ones, family, whoever else, cherished memories. And we appreciate you so very much.
Brat masterpieces.
And until I see you next time, be good, be safe, and remember to always keep turning the page. You got it.